Yeah, here we are live for day 2 of the NFL draft. Second round. We are on OT with BP. We are on Eric Crocker's channel as well, formerly known as Croc Talk. Make sure you're subscribed up on whatever channel you are watching. Give some love to Croc's channel because we were solely on my channel yesterday. And of course, we'll be coming back and doing Locked On 49ers podcasts about all of these picks for all of these players here that are drafted by the San Francisco 49ers. And we are off and rolling on day 2, second round. Keon Coleman going with the first pick of round 2, number 33. After a couple of trade downs from the Buffalo Bills out of round 1, they go Keon Coleman, big old wide receiver out of Florida State. And feels like the wide receiver run is going to continue on from Thursday night, Croc, with Keon Coleman going first. And now the Patriots, who are wide receiver needy already with pick 34, they've traded out of that back down to the 5th pick in round 2. And it is the also wide receiver needy Los Angeles Chargers that have moved up. And now that pick is in, and it looks like Ladd McConkey. So 4 wide receivers in a row here. Last 2 picks last night, first 2 picks in round 2. Keon Coleman to the Buffalo Bills. Ladd McConkey, Croc, one of our guys we liked quite a bit. Very different player than Keon Coleman here. Couldn't be more different with those 2 guys going to the second selection in round 2 to the Los Angeles Chargers. What do you think about these 2 receivers, Croc? I know we did a deep dive on Ladd McConkey. How much work have you done on Keon Coleman? I immediately knew he wasn't a Kyle Shanahan receiver, so I didn't do a ton of work on Keon Coleman, but I watched him a little bit. He's got an interesting profile.
There were a lot of people that really liked Keon Coleman. I think Keon Coleman's quote-unquote downfall was big receiver, didn't test well. And you don't have to be this blazer, especially if you're as tall as he is, but you definitely on paper want to put things out there that make people want to draft you. Jerry Rice, son, Brendan Rice. Brendan Rice, we knew he wasn't going to be a day 1 guy, maybe not a round 2 guy. But because he ran a 4.5, it gave teams just incentives to be like, okay, because you weren't maybe super productive in college, maybe there's certain traits that you kind of lack. We're still going to like you a little bit more because you ran a 4.5 flat. You showed some good traits. Well, Keon Coleman, who is a terrific athlete, he just didn't run as well. So I don't think it gave teams incentives to maybe even have that 5th-year option on him. But clearly, kind of like the Brandon Ike year, when you had T. Higgins go right away. You had Michael Pittman Jr. go right away. This is kind of the sweet spot of taking the receiver. And I like what the 49ers did, taking a guy at 31. You got the value of the 5th-year option, and then now you see a run going on with receivers. Started with the 49ers, then you had Leggett going to the Carolina Panthers, and now 2 more guys at the top of the second round.
We had a question here, and it's a good one, and it's topical for the 49ers as we start round 2. Do you think we're going to see a move up in the second round with so many good players falling, Croc? Or we might see a trade from the San Francisco 49ers rumored to be maybe more likely to move Deebo Samuel now all of a sudden, according to Mike Silver. What do you think the odds are now? I won the bet yesterday that there wasn't a trade by the 49ers. I might flip to the other side of this bet thinking there is going to be I don't know how the 49ers go through day 2 with all the rumors, everything going on. The players that are on the board not make some kind of move, whether they trade Deebo or Brandon Ayuk, or maybe they just come up from pick number 63.
And did you see what Deebo Samuel, he posted and deleted, but he initially posted the quote-unquote rumors that were flying around with him being the likely receiver that would be traded. And he did this like right after the Ricky Pearsall pick. Maybe his agent advised him, hey, man, take that down. But people on social media, they move quick. They got the screenshots.
Those screenshots last forever. They'll get you quick too. I didn't see those. I did hear, Croc, and you showed me something that there was, and maybe this was done by a little sleuthing from the 49ers front office, purposely faking the Cooper DeJean thing, right? Because so behind the scenes, guys, if you were in the live stream with us last night, Croc was a little bit behind. I knew who the pick was, but I thought I knew who the pick was because usually the chat would tell us before we'd see it on the tracker or see it on TV. And in the chat, I saw Cooper DeJean, and I knew Croc's guy was Cooper DeJean at that pick. And so I'm waiting, and Croc is waiting for the pick to come in. I was like, man, it's Cooper DeJean. I felt like I knew what the pick was. And then all of a sudden I see someone say, Pearsall. And I was like, that's a weird thing to say right now. Okay. And then someone else says Cooper. And all of a sudden says Ricky Pearsall. Ricky Pearsall. Like, why are people saying Ricky Pearsall right now? And then all of a sudden, the pick does come through, and we were letting Croc get the news of the pick, and it was Ricky Pearsall. And so apparently, Croc is the story that the 49ers were trying to figure out who their leak is in the building, and purposely fake leaked the wrong pick in Cooper DeJean on purpose, and just gave every 49ers fan a heart attack in the meantime.
That is something that I saw floating around social media. They told a few people a kind of false player that they were going to draft, and then let those people leak it to the media. So now they kind of know who their rats are in the house.
Wow. John Lynch. That's
Pretty
dirty,
clever.
but that's awesome. I kind of like that. To be honest with you, and look, there's a lot of folks right now talking about the Ricky Pearsall pick, and maybe some players that are still on the board. Cooper DeJean, one of those here. And what has anything changed in your mind? I know you've thought about it. I'm sure you've gone to the tape a little bit. I've gone to the tape a little bit, watching a little bit more of Ricky Pearsall. Last night we were like, good player, slight reach. What is your thought now after sleeping on it about the pick at 31 overall for Ricky Pearsall to the 49ers?
Oh man, it was actually fun watching it. And I saw some things I wasn't quite expecting to see. I didn't think I was going to see someone be utilized in an offense the way that he was. You would have thought that they felt he was Deebo Samuel Jr.
Yeah.
The way, I mean, you could watch 3 games, and I would say in those 3 games, maybe each game he motioned 10 times behind the line of scrimmage. They either handed it to him or faked it to him. So you saw the end arounds, you saw the jet sweep handoffs or fake handoffs to him. Just different ways they look to get the ball in his hands, bunches, throwing screens to him in different various areas. And then seeing all the different areas he lined up. In your head, you're thinking, oh, slot receiver. Oh, he'd work outside and would win vertically. Then he'd play in the slot and run routes from there. The other things that I knew already about him just from briefly watching film prior to doing more of a deep dive, really sudden, twitchy, understands, route manipulation, understands how to attack leverages. It really painted a very clear picture to me how he fits in the 49ers offense. And it's kind of like a hybrid. Again, he's not Deebo with the ball in his hands. Let's make that very clear. And I'm not sure you'd mistake him for being a yak bro either, but just in the sense of the different ways they used him that way. And then the Brandon Ayuk type plays, and their offense wasn't very collegey. I guess it wasn't very like gimmicky. It was a little bit more like a 49ers kind of offense where you saw the tight splits, run the deep over routes. And I thought he did a lot of that with speed, showed the necessary speed downfield. There was a lot of stuff that I took away that I really liked. And I liked him already. I had him mocked to the 49ers in the second round just because he failed to me in the second round. And I'm like, I don't know if he's going to be there in real life, but I like this guy here. I like him even more after watching the film.
Yak Harlow is a nickname I've seen thrown out there for him. I think Slick Rick is just better anyway. And I heard him on KMBR actually earlier today, and he said Slick Rick because of the rapper is when people started calling him that, and it stuck from a long time ago. I think Slick Rick is a good nickname. I think that's better than Yak Harlow. I don't know if the Yak is going to stick in the NFL, Croc, as part of his game. I think, to be honest with you, I think Ricky Pearsall is a pretty easy evaluation. Right? I mean, I think he's not a projectable prospect. He's 20. He's going to be 24 years old when the season starts. He's an older prospect.
Deebo Samuel, his rookie year.
Yeah, he plays like a veteran already. He knows how to get open. I heard him say something really interesting that I love, Croc, and I've never heard anybody say this. And I bet if he said this to Kyle Shanahan in their meeting, whenever it was, the combine or whatever, I bet Kyle jumped out of his chair and gave him a hug. Because he said, because someone asked him about his route running. You're a good route runner. And he said, yeah, I don't really consider as much route running as route understanding. And I was like, oh, dang. If he said that to Kyle, it was over. First round pick in the bag, right? And so he plays like a veteran. He's an older player. He's played a lot of football. He can uncover. He can get open. He plays about 60-40 in the slot there in college. And I bet, the 49ers would want to use him the same way. In a Deebo Samuel sort of a vein. We talked about it. We said, hey, is he a Z or an X? And you were like, nah, he's a Z. And so it makes sense that the rumors today, and Mike Silver saying, my sources say that if there's someone to be traded from the 49ers, it's more likely to be Deebo Samuel today now than Brandon Ayuk. And when you see how his utilization was in college and how it would probably be in the pros and how he fits, yeah, he's much more of a Deebo replacement than a Ayuk replacement. I don't think, even though he was utilized that way, though, Croc, and had a nice bit of yak yardage in college, I don't think yards after catch is necessarily going to be his game in the NFL. His game is in the slot, getting open, ball skills, making catches. I don't know how much downfield there is. He's got athleticism, but he doesn't necessarily run by guys. I don't think he's very strong as far as play strength, because a lot of people want to comp him to Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. He doesn't have the play strength of those guys. I've seen Keenan Allen out there as well. He doesn't have that play strength. He can get knocked off the ball. He's not as good as at press man. So the question for me is, I know he's going to be good on third downs. I know he's going to be good in the slot. I know exactly how Kyle Shanahan probably wants to use him there. My question is, does he end up being just kind of a rich man's Trent Taylor, Juwan Jennings, Kendrick Bourne? Or is he a true outside receiver on top of being able to do those things and be a third down nightmare out of the slot, but also be, have some yak, have some downfield ability and play outside? I think that's the only question I have. And that'll be ultimately what decides whether he was worthy of a first round pick or if he should have been a day two guy.
I think one thing that he has over some of those guys that you mentioned, the Juwan Jennings, Kendrick Bourne, Trent Taylor, he has more natural explosive speed. Like those guys with Juwan Jennings and Kendrick Bourne, not fast.
All three cone champions, though.
So that's why, and again, when you start talking about players and where they're going, he's a first round pick, and their seventh round was Trent Taylor, maybe fifth round, and an undrafted guy with Kendrick Bourne.
They were 6th round, 7th round, and undrafted.
Yeah.
Is he just much more athletic and that much better than it's a first round versus, because you can find, if you need a slot receiver, you can find that. The 49ers haven't had a problem finding that, and these guys can get open and make catches on third down too. And so that's kind of what my point is how much of a rich man's are we talking about? A Sultan of Brunei rich man version of those guys, or are we talking about just a little bit better, which still to me is not a first round guy?
Here we go. Well, let's show some of the things that he has, and I don't want to show highlights or anything like that, but watching film, and I was like, oh man, that was really good. All right, so let's go to present. I should be able to share my screen. Here we go. Where is it? Right. Nope. Oh, here we go. Window. Boom. All right, got another pick going off right now, but is that everybody able to see? Oh, I think you have to do it. Can you put it up on the screen? There we go. All right. So here's Ricky Pearsall right here at the bottom of your screen. And you want to kind of get an idea of some of the kind of speed that he has and ability, even as an outside guy, just how fluid he is as well, right? Just firing out the ball, getting on his toes, boom, look, and boom. And I mean, the way he's able to run routes, I wish I would have gotten just even more clips of him running routes, but he gets on guys' toes. He hits them with rocker steps at the top. I think his threatening speed allows him to be a bit more of an explosive athlete vertically than some of the other guys that you just mentioned.
Pick is in, Croc, and actually you might have missed a couple of picks here. It is the Atlanta Falcons have gone up to pick number 35. So we already have 2 trades out of 3 picks here. And in fact, the 33rd pick was already traded too. So 3 out of 3 picks traded. Ruka Rororo, defensive tackle out of Clemson, goes at pick 35 to the Atlanta Falcons. And now the pick is in at 36 as well. This one breaks my heart a little bit. Adam Peters selecting my guy that I liked at 31 for the 49ers, Johnny Newton, defensive tackle out of the University of Illinois. Looks like he's going with the 4th pick in the 2nd round, 36 overall to the Washington Commanders.
And that was your guy. And it was interesting just watching, seeing him quote unquote fall. He was a guy who was mocked regularly in the 1st round, early 20s. I mean, I saw some where he was kind of in that late teens type range, but for them to be able to get him at 36, I think a lot of us would say, oh man, that's great value being able to get him there. I think the question maybe we should ask is, why did he go at this point in the 2nd round? That should be a good question. What is it about his game that teams didn't quite love? I know for me, I just thought he was a little stiff when it came to like change of direction, and that would be something that would kind of move me off of him in the first round and maybe get him in the second round. Okay, he can get upfield right now, but gosh, he struggled to change direction. And some of the freak athletes, even big guys like the Jordan Davis and those guys, they're able to do that at the snap of a finger, and they outweigh him by 40 pounds. So maybe that's something that made him drop a little bit, but overall, still a really good player for Washington Commanders.
Yeah, he's not the biggest. He doesn't have the biggest frame, and I think part of that is he's probably like maxed out his weight to try to get up to 300 pounds, which is what you see a little bit of that. To be honest with you, I think Ricky Pearsall's a little bit of that, because Ricky Pearsall, when I talk about projectability, like he's maxed out. You can tell he's put in work in the weight room. He's strong, but he's not going to end up being 205 or anything. He's 190. That's what he is, and he's put in the work there. He's got his bench press reps down. He's narrow hipped. He's kind of got skinnier legs, and you see him get knocked off his route at times. And that's why I see Amon-Ra St. Brown as another, like, he doesn't have that play strength. That's why I pause, because some of these bigger bodied, stronger slot type guys, I don't think they're great comps for Ricky Pearsall, because they all play with much more play strength than Ricky Pearsall does. And I think I'm going to go back to your comp, Croc, Adam Thielen, right? Because he won on the outside too, even though he did his best work in the slot. I think that's what we're talking about with Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah, Adam Thielen, and it's crazy because I am seeing that float around a lot today, and I'm like, man, in my head, that's just the guy who came to mind with just how he plays, how it looks. And there was a time where, I remember people saying like, oh man, who's the best route runners in the NFL? And some people were like, oh man, you got Diggs, you got Adam Thielen, you got, Keenan Allen, but they always threw kind of Adam Thielen in there. For a time, he was very, very, very productive. If you told me that, in a year or so, he starts to get more and more comfortable at the NFL level, and you start to see a lot of his athletic ability really kind of take over, and the 49ers be able to utilize him in that way, wouldn't be at all surprised. Really good. I mean, just watching him in space, it was fun to watch. Watching him at the line of scrimmage, there were times that I'd see him really like whoop a guy at the line of scrimmage, but then boom, a guy gets hands on him. And like you said, the play strength is something that he can really either work to get stronger or understand more of how to free himself up a little bit more in the middle of a route, whether it's his hands, knocking the guy off of him, leaning into something and then creating separation that way. I think that's an area where he can improve on.
This was a really big spot for a potential trade, and there was some smoke that the New England Patriots were trying hard, either for Deebo or Brandon Ayuk, and that there were talks between the 49ers and the New England Patriots for a potential trade. The Pats moved out of 34 down a few spots to 37, but now they've made their pick at 37 too. So the New England Patriots aren't going to be sending pick 37 to the San Francisco 49ers. They're going to be drafting a wide receiver instead, and it is Washington wide receiver, Croc, Jalen Polk, to the Patriots here. Washington with what, three picks so far already in the first 37 of this draft.
4, because the quarterback. So yeah, 2 receivers, 2 a quarterback, and an offensive lineman.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. So 4. It is 4. Yeah. 4 players already on the, you can see why they're playing the national championship.
And they got another receiver that's going to. And also we talked about Rosengarten. We'll see how, if he kind of continues to fall, but which we expect him to be there closer to 49ers pick late in the second round.
I get the feeling Rosengarten's not going to be there beyond 63. That's the feeling I get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jalen Polk, though, they have another receiver that I think will be taken as well, McMillan. I think McMillan at some point, maybe early day 3, we could see him go off the board, if not even late day 2.
Yeah, he might be gone today as well. So there's at least 2 more guys that could go from Washington today, and I might be missing some. Absurd roster they put together there for the Huskies. Do you think that John Lynch was trolling us, putting on the Washington hoodie, Croc? When he was at the Rosengarten Pro Day private workout, whatever that was?
Nah, I think he really liked it. Look, a lot of the conversation on my timeline, and you can tell me how yours has looked if you paid attention at all today, but a lot of it was surrounding the 49ers not taking an offensive lineman, which you said. I'm like, man, why are people tripping on this pick? And you're like, well, I don't think it's necessarily the guy. I think people felt like, oh, you have to get offensive linemen there, which you and I, we tried to prepare them. We tried to say, hey,
don't force it.
Don't force it.
They kind of forced wide receiver though, Croc. Like we did have players that we liked better than Ricky Pearsall. As much as we like Ricky Pearsall as a player, we both would have picked multiple guys ahead of him too, but just not an offensive lineman necessarily.
I think
maybe an offensive lineman or two, but Pearsall was in that next group of guys in the second round.
I think because that's viewing it in the lens of, okay, you got Ayuk, you have Deebo, they don't throw the ball a ton, and it's kind of, and they have Juwan Jennings they really like. So receiver, even though we listed some guys, it wasn't even something that I felt like should be a focal point on our 49er big board, which is how we try to rank it. I still don't think he would have been the first guy we chose, right?
Right.
I really liked Cooper DeJean at that spot. You really like Johnny Newton at that spot. I think, watching him, I like him more than Adonai Mitchell, but I'm just not a big fan of the way Mitchell played. I think Mitchell, somebody may say he has more upside or potential to be a true wide receiver one. So, there's that.
There's clearly some reasons why some of these guys that do have a lot of fans of their film are still available. Cooper DeJean, clearly the league sees him as a safety and not a corner. There's different value there to NFL teams if you're a true cornerback or if you're a safety. And
or maybe they view him as a cornerback that they are not as high on, right? Because I've said it, like him as a corner, but I've said all along, like I wouldn't draft him high as a corner. Yep. So I would have to make the call to his agent, hey, this is what we want to do with him. Are you okay with this? And then now he's in play for me at the end of the first round.
I wonder how much that happens. I wonder if all these teams in the first round were like, hey, we like Cooper, but we want him to play safety. And he's like, nope, I'm a corner. And then maybe that backfires on him. And now he's like, oh, shoot, I should have said, yeah, I'm good with whatever. I'm sure he probably said I'm good with whatever. I think that's what agents tell people to say. But, sometimes it's the other way around. There was a little, and here's the other thing is medical. So there was a little medical with Cooper DeJean because remember he couldn't work out until the very end when he was doing it was an ankle injury that he had that prevented him from doing combine stuff. But, that's not a long-term thing that should really crush your draft stock. He finally ended up working out. There was injury stuff with Johnny Newton, same story. He wasn't able to work out, did a little pro day thing at the very end, but didn't really do full timing. Maybe his injury is something you worry a little bit more. The Jones fracture apparently is maybe something that could be tougher to come back from, even though he never missed any games in college and he played through the injury and then got surgery in the offseason. So I kind of like that he played through injury and didn't miss any games in school. So it's not like recurring injuries that he's had, but that could have been a reason he fell out of the first round, just a little bit of injury stuff. Jackson Powers Johnson, there's rumors of that with him. So a lot of the player and Kool-Aid McKinstry, Croc, he couldn't work out, didn't run the combine either because he had an injury he was dealing with. So I think that's a big part of some of these guys and might be a tiebreaker for some of these teams that passed up the players that had a little bit of an injury problem throughout this process. And I think potentially these teams at the top of the second round are going to scoop those guys up and be the benefactors of it.
Hey, I see Bruce Jones in the chat, and he says, what do you take from Deebo's comments a few minutes ago? He said Silver shared it, and what Silver shared was Diana Rossini, who's kind of been all over. She's been on this whole situation with the 49ers, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Knight, all that. She said, I spoke to Deebo Samuel on the phone. So now it's like, this is not what I'm hearing from other people. This is directly Deebo Samuel. And she says, I spoke to Deebo Samuel on the phone and asked his reaction to the 49ers drafting his potential replacement. I don't know if that's kind of harsh. Like, hey, what do you think about the 49ers drafting your potential replacement? But he said to the reports that she said 49ers drafted potential replacement, and to the reports that they explored trading him. He said, I know what's going on, he said, but it is what it is. I'm good staying with him. I'm chilling.
Okay. Deebo's chilling, and he knows what's going on, so that's good. To be honest with you, Croc, I like Ricky Pearsall with Deebo and Ayuk. Like, if you're trying to get better, Be more dynamic. Trade DeJean Jennings and then give Ricky Pearsall those targets. He's the slot third down monster. You can't have third and DeJean and Ricky Pearsall in the slot at the same time. Niners aren't going 4 wide. Kyle Shanahan's not Sean McVay. That's the other thing with like the Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua comparisons is, do we see the 49ers going 3 wide all day and targeting Ricky Pearsall 150 times? I don't think I see that in Kyle Shanahan's offense, right? But if you're trying to be the best team right now, it doesn't prevent you from re-signing Brandon Ayuk. Trade DeJean Jennings if you have to trade one of those guys, right? He's an upcoming free agent. And
I don't think he has
the other 3 this year.
I mean, what's his trade value? Like a 6th-round pick?
I mean, or just bench him for Pearsall, but I think he would at least be worth something to somebody more than that. I bet you get a mid-round pick for him. He's cheap. That's the difference between Deebo and you might not even get that much of a better pick for Deebo than DeJean Jennings. Because DeJean Jennings is cheap.
I can see you getting a 4th. I can see you getting a 4th for Deebo.
Or maybe it helps you get up and get a player.
Part of, when you're talking about value, and it depends on the player, right? Like Stephon Diggs, you can still get pretty good compensation coming back. Deebo, I think it's a little tougher with his contract, the amount of money, a little tougher to get a lot of value back on him. So it might be worth it, to just keep him. Unless there's something about him that you don't care for, right? Like, could they have gotten more for Diggs? Could they have gotten more for Diggs if he had been like better, having a better attitude in whatever they had going on? I mean, it was a weird situation. And it's like, okay, let's part ways with the guy. I don't think the 49ers want to part ways with guys. There's money stuff coming into play, and they're trying to figure it out. And there's just going to be somebody that's an odd man out.
Yeah. So, maybe they're realizing they're not going to re-sign DeJean Jennings anyway. Or maybe they're realizing, okay, we want to re-sign DeJean Jennings and then we'll trade Deebo because we do want to re-sign. So they got to do multiple re-signings if they trade Deebo Samuel. T'Vondre Sweat went much earlier than I expected. Wow. T'Vondre Sweat, 366-pound nose tackle out of the University of Texas, goes at pick number 38 to the Tennessee Titans, Croc. And then another defensive tackle, very different, not a run defender at all, Braden Fisk out of Florida State, goes to the Los Angeles Rams at pick number 39. And I like and I hate that pick by the Rams because, you hate it because he's a pretty good pass rusher and he's relentless and he's not going to replace Aaron Donald, but I love it because you can run on him all day. So if he's on the field on first and second down, it's game on for the Kyle Shanahan running game against the Los Angeles Rams. And T'Vondre Sweat got a DUI a few weeks ago. He was reportedly playing upwards of 390 pounds and had some off-field stuff and, kind of like didn't really put much work in at the University of Texas has been the knock on him. That's been the word on him. So I thought Fisk and T'Vondre Sweat would both fall out of round 2, and they've both now been drafted. And we got a little run on defensive tackles. We've got all wide receivers at defensive tackles, actually, in round 2. So we got wide receiver with Coleman and McConkey. Then you go DT with Ororo and Newton. And then you go wide receiver with Polk, and then DT again with T'Vondre Sweat and Braden Fisk. And that's where we're at now, pick number 40. And is the Philadelphia Eagles. And another trade, the Eagles have moved up with the Washington Commanders, who used to have pick 40. The Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock now. Do they double up on DBs, Croc? They go Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean? They were connected with Cooper DeJean in the first round of pick 22 on some mock drafts.
Real quick on Sweat. There was somebody that pointed to my mock draft. I had the 49ers taking Sweat in the 3rd round of the mock. And I was like, 49ers probably don't like this kind of guy just because how massive he is. And someone responded and was like, well, you had the 49ers taking Ricky Pearsall in the 2nd. He went in the 1st. And I was like, so he was like, oh, that's a reach. And I'm like, well, it's a mock. I was like, I bet you today Sweat goes in the second round. And next thing you know, boom. So I can't wait to tweet him and say, told you. Like you can't where a guy goes in a mock, especially a mock that you do with the simulators, you can't put a whole lot of weight into that and say, oh, well, this is where a guy should go.
Right. And this is where Sweat was originally. People like Sweat. You know, he's one of the few actually big people in this draft. There's so many small, undersized defensive tackles. He's a big one, and he can stop the run. And if you want that type of player, Sweat was pretty much the guy. And he's pretty athletic for being a guy who was pushing 390 apparently and showed up at the combine at 366. And this is kind of the stock. He was a mid-second round guy before the postseason process, and you started hearing some of the rumors about him off the field, and he gets a DUI. And the Titans said, "Nah, we don't care. We like the tape. This is what the grade was. We're drafting him here." Mike Silver apparently said, according to Bruce in the chat, that the 49ers wanted a first-round pick for Deebo.
That would make a lot of sense as to why he hasn't been moved yet.
Because the first round's over.
Even the future first round, like, I can't see someone. And Deebo is a terrific player. He is a game changer for the 49ers. I think he's so specific, it limits, like, you know, the coordinator that you could play for. They would to some degree have to kind of change their offense up a little bit because he doesn't do your traditional wide receiver stuff, playing and play out. I think you would have very few buyers, and because of that, I would assume that it is not like that pick increases value because, oh man, there's so many people trying to fight for Deebo Samuel.
Pick is in, Croc. I hate the Eagles sometimes, man. Howie Roseman's really good. The Green Bay Packers were the next team, and it looks like the Philadelphia Eagles traded up to get in front of the Green Bay Packers to grab Cooper DeJean in front of them. And I'm not seeing it officially yet, but it looks like in the chat people are saying Cooper DeJean is the selection at number 40.
Jalen Ramsey.
And immediately the Packers move out of 41, and now it's the New Orleans Saints that are on the clock at 41.
Wow.
So there you go. They got the pale one. Jalen Ramsey. Nice move. I mean, I love the move from Howie Roseman. They got probably the best safety in the class and the best corner in the class.
So
they needed the help in the secondary too, man. It's a great move by the Eagles.
You would assume that this means they're playing him at safety.
Yeah, they know what he is. I think the league saw it exactly like we saw it, Croc. It's clear.
I think there were a lot of people that wanted this to be a thing for obvious reasons.
Are you trying to say are you trying to say that the Eagles got the white DB discount?
No, no, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
But I do think there were a lot of people, like, they were really excited to have a white corner go first round.
Right. To be an actual legit corner. Yeah.
Yeah, like that was a real thing.
I got to be honest, I was bummed. I was like, oh, all right, we got a white corner here. And watching him, like, hey, yeah, he's a safety, isn't he?
You know, started off the process, there were a lot of people that were saying he was going to be like a top 10 pick, a top 15 pick. Like, they were like, oh man, this corner, he's going so high. And I watched him, like him at corner. I do like him at corner. Love him at safety.
Like him at zone corner. Like him as a big slot safety he can hit. He's a good player. He's just not a sticky man outside corner. It's just not what he's going to be in the NFL. And he could be great. I mean, he could be an all-pro player.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's why, you know, I like him at 31. Give me him at safety, and I feel like I'm getting an all-pro. Now, we're saying Jalen Ramsey. We're not even comparing him to another white guy. We could say Harrison from the Vikings. We didn't say that. We're like, oh man, Jalen Ramsey type guy.
Someone said white man can't jump. He can leap. He's a dunker, man. Go look at his dunk highlight tape. 38.5-inch vertical. He can dunk. And look, Ricky Pearsall, 42-inch vertical. And he's got the quicks too. So, I mean, white guys are athletes. I mean, don't come on.
There are some trades going down right now.
Every pick except for one so far in the second round has been traded. Sorry, except for two. The Washington pick and the Titans pick are the only two picks out of 8 so far that have not been traded. And the next 3 in a row are all traded at some point. So it is official. Yep, Cooper DeJean to the Philadelphia Eagles at pick number 40. And then the Packers got the hell out of there because I think that was going to be their guy.
That draft party he's at definitely looks like he's in Iowa.
They get down in Iowa, Crock.
So playing in the Arena League, you play in random towns. Man, I played in the Iowa against the Iowa Barnstormers. Shout out to Kurt Warner, his old squad. Des Moines, Iowa. I'm not gonna lie, I was pleasantly surprised. It was cracking. We went to it was like this building, and there was like several floors in the building, and each floor it was like a club. Go to the next floor, another club. Go to the next floor, another club. And I think it was near University of Iowa. Is that in Des Moines, Iowa?
University of Iowa is in Ames, Iowa, I believe.
Okay, so maybe Iowa was
very close.
Wherever it was like.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Ames is Iowa State.
Okay, so yeah, I think Iowa, because I remember seeing like the signs. So I think this campus was close, but man, we had a great time. Had a great time in Iowa.
Oh, here we go. NFL Network comped Cooper DeJean to Malcolm Jenkins. I kind of like
love
that.
it.
Yeah,
love it. Exactly. Think about Malcolm Jenkins coming out of college. People forget this. Malcolm Jenkins was a cornerback. And they were like, you're coming out of Ohio State. Yes, you guys are rich traditional corners, but you're not quite a corner. We're going to put you at safety. And he had a long NFL career being really good for a time at safety position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a really good player. That's a good comp. I like that one a lot. I had not heard that yet. I was looking at Ricky Pearsall's mock draftable and his spider graph and his workout numbers and trying to think of other comps for him besides, I think the best one still is yours, Croc, in Adam Thielen. And as far as athletic measurables, I saw some really interesting names out there. Another former Gator, Rashae Caldwell. You remember him?
Yeah. Went to the Patriots.
Yeah. A lot of, but like they were all like kind of diminutive slot guys. I didn't see an outside receiver comp, and I still haven't seen one that I like.
It's got to be the short arms too.
Short arms and the quicks, and even though he doesn't look even 6'1", 190, that's almost like a DB size, but 6'1", 190 is not small, but he doesn't look. I wonder if he was even bulked up for the combine. Did he play maybe at 180? He doesn't look very big on the field. I think it's partially because he has skinnier legs. Like he's got some strength in his upper body, but I think he's got skinnier legs, narrow hips. Maybe is what makes him look smaller, shorter arms, and so it looks like he's playing a little smaller than the 6'1", 190 would lead you to believe. Maybe that's why. But he doesn't look very big on the field.
Yeah. I think, and I've seen some, just like pictures of him, and it's like he has pretty good size, just on the arms and stuff like that. But he is slim built, and that's with TV adding weight to you.
Our big board's pretty much gone, Croc. New Orleans Saints moving in here with the Packers at 41. Looks like they're going to go Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Yeah, they went Kool-Aid.
Yeah, so that's it. Kingsley Suamataia would probably be my next guy up for the 49ers if they were going to go up. Like we're in offensive tackle territory for that next group of tackles. Kingsley Suamataia, Roger Rosengarten, Blake Fisher. Those are the names to watch on day 2 for the 49ers. At tackle, you got Jackson Powers Johnson. Oh, he's one. Forgot about him. He's still there. Jackson Powers Johnson still there. And Zach Frazier at center. So those 5 offensive linemen for sure names to watch for the 49ers here on day 2. Let's see. If the 49ers trade a wide receiver, they still got to draft another wide receiver too, because they already needed one, right, Croc?
Right.
Yeah.
1 second. Let me take this phone call.
Yeah. All right. Lassiter gone to the Texans. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Don't want the Oregon Center, want the wrestler Frazier. Why is that? I do like the leverage. Like Frazier's a leverage king, but athletically, physically, power wise, as a football player, Jackson Powers Johnson's just better. Now, I don't know if there's some medical stuff with Jackson Powers Johnson. Sounds like there is, and that's the reason he's fallen a little bit. But he is he's just a better football player to me than Frazier. But I do like Frazier, and if Frazier's there at 63, I think it'd be a phenomenal selection because I think he's a plug and play guy, and I think he could play early. And he's played a lot of center, so that makes you believe maybe he could even compete in his rookie year, even as difficult as it might be to play center for Kyle Shanahan. And what you need to know and making the calls, could you go earn that spot? Maybe. How do I feel about CJ Stroud's reaction to the 49ers taking Ricky Pearsall? I love it. First of all, CJ Stroud, I love that dude, man. He's smart. I love hearing him talk about football. He knows ball clearly. And that's fun. I don't know if players are always the best judge of, because they like their buddies. They like I don't know. I think there a lot of the Steve Smith stuff's going around too. But Steve Smith is like the new Baldy, but for wide receivers, because all he does is just. I'm surprised actually, because Steve Smith I thought would have a little more hater in him. He just loves everybody. And he's just, all of his videos about wide receivers are crazy glowing. And if you just watch his video on wide receivers, you think they're all going to be all pros in the NFL. It's like watching a Baldy breakdown. Like it's just always positive, and you just come away thinking, "Oh, this guy's awesome." Baldy just set the stage for how great this player is that he's watching. And really, he might only just be breaking down one good play, but it makes you feel really good. That's what Steve Smith has been. So if Steve Smith said a lot of great things about Ricky Pearsall, go watch all of Steve Smith's videos and you realize, oh yeah, he's just saying amazing things about all these guys.
I like the way this guy catches the ball. Man, he's just so smooth, and look how he plucks this ball out of the air. Yeah, it's very, very friendly, especially for a guy that was like very mean.
Right. That's why I was surprised. I thought he would like crush guys a little bit, and he's just super. I mean, he loves everybody. He loves all these wide receivers. They're going to be the superstars. So, yeah, Kamari Lassiter going to the Houston Texans at 42 overall. And now looks like we got another pick from the Arizona Cardinals, who have added a ton of players in this draft. And they are selecting, according to the chat. Croc, let me know if we should stop spoiling these, because I think the chat is ahead of where you are.
Oh, it's cool. Just don't spoil the 49ers pick for me.
Yeah, okay. It looks like Max Melton, one of our guys we liked a lot, a cornerback, going to the Arizona Cardinals.
Nice little run on cornerbacks to start the second round.
We got tackles, we got wide receivers, and we got DBs now. A couple slot guys in Lassiter and DeJean. Safety maybe for DeJean. And then corners in Kool-Aid, and now Max Melton. All good players. Do you? I find it fascinating, Croc, that every team except for like the Falcons selection of Michael Penix threw me for a loop, as did a lot of people. But all the other picks are like, yeah, man, okay, this is probably the right spot for this player to go, and they pick that guy. Except for the 49ers pick of Ricky Pearsall. Everybody else is like, oh, yeah, right in this range, probably, Darius Robinson. Darius Robinson goes. Right in this range, probably this guy goes. And then, boop, Ricky Pearsall. I'm like, what? Ricky Pearsall? Nobody talked about Ricky Pearsall going this high. I wonder.
Did you see that? Did you look like, so after he got picked, and I'm like, okay, I didn't think that he would be at 63. I knew I felt that.
Yeah.
But I started going through and looking at all the draft experts' big boards, and I would say with looking at the consensus where they had Ricky Pearsall, and we're talking about big boards, they're 1 through 100th prospects, right? I'd say on average, they had him around 38, 39. Because there were some that had him at 36. I saw him at 38. I saw him at 40. I saw him at 45. So he was in kind of like that range.
I can tell you right now what he was on the consensus big board, according to Arif Hassan, who compiles the top 101 draft boards from all the biggest analysts in the draft game, and it was updated as of yesterday. And the consensus big board ranking for Ricky Pearsall was 48.
48. Okay.
Yeah, 48. And I don't know if he has it listed where like the high and the low were. I don't think he does. Oh, wait. Yeah, here we go. Oh, wait, never mind. No. So 48. Yeah. But I definitely saw like, the people, and of course, like 49ers fans and hitting our timeline is the people who liked him the most. They're bringing it in, or the fans that hated the pick the most, right? And that's always what happens with the NFL draft, right? Your team picks a guy, and if it's something you didn't expect, you're like, oh my God, this sucks. I hate this pick. And then everyone starts talking themselves into it. But it makes sense because of this, makes sense because of this. All the beat writers are going to write glowing stories about the player. And then you find the few analysts that liked him the most. And then you start spreading those things. You talk about the CJ Stroud thing. You talk about the Steve Smith thing, but you don't bring up the guys that didn't like him very much, right? Because it's just
I haven't even seen that cross my timeline. So, I mean, I would love to see it just to hear a different perspective, because everything so far with the pick has been more groupthink. And not saying it's a bad thing. Like, 49ers, you want to be excited about your pick, but it is just odd that, like, dang, everybody loved it. Like, you know what I'm saying? CJ Stroud said it. He's elite.
I've got, so this is interesting. So the Brugler Beast, he graded Ricky Pearsall as a 2nd/3rd rounder. But then he also had him at number 45 on his board, which is in the middle of the 2nd round. So that sounds like a solid 2nd rounder, not a 2nd/3rd rounder. So that's interesting how he kind of did that.
Well, maybe he only had so many 1st round guys and then so many 2nd round guys. Yeah. Harmon, who does the reception perception, had him at 6.
At wide receiver? Yeah, he liked him. And this is 9 at wide receiver too. So this is still not that far off. Top 10 wide receiver.
Because he was what, 7th?
He went 6th, right?
6th.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right where Harmon had him.
Yeah.
I like his reception perception thing. I've been paying attention to that for a couple years now.
Oh yeah, I love what he does with the reception perception. Here we go. Here I'll read the summary from Dane Brugler in the Beast because I have it up. A 2-year starter at Florida, Pearsall was schemed across the formation in head coach Billy Napier's offense, doing most of his work 62% from the slot. After 3 seasons at Arizona State, including time spent learning from Brandon Ayuk in 2019, he moved on to Gainesville in 2022, had a career season in 2023, leading the Gators in receiving. With his play speed and footwork, Pearsall earned the nickname Slick Rick because of the rhythmic movements he uses to shake free in his routes and make defenders miss in the quick game. Though he can be out-muscled at times versus press or at the top of his routes, he has Velcro hands and never shies from attacking throws that lead him into impending contact. Overall, Pearsall wasn't a home run hitter on tape, but he's a reliable receiving option with the route quickness and ball skills to quickly become a favorite target for an NFL quarterback. He has the skill set and toughness to work inside or outside and return punts at the next level.
It's really weird because if you didn't know where he had him and you just read his scouting report, it sounds like a day one guy.
He gets open and catches the ball.
He catches everything, has hands like Velcro, will be a reliable target for a quarterback. It's like
6'1" and ran 4.4 and with a 42-inch vertical and crazy agilities, right? So yeah.
But
it's a good
resume.
He's a
day 2, day 3 guy. Like what? Or he's a late day 2 guy. That's what it sounds like. Jackson Powers Johnson to the Raiders.
Oh, that's a Raidery pick. Like that. The Raiders just kind of sitting back and collecting best player available. They did it with Bowers in the first round. Now they do it with Jackson Powers Johnson in the second round. Like this draft for the Raiders. Not doing anything crazy. Just sit back. Who's the best player? Got a lot of needs. Let's draft them.
Jackson Powers Johnson that's showing his watch party definitely looks like he's in Utah. They can update the cabinets a little bit.
He's from Oregon, right? Or he went to Oregon. Is he from Utah?
Yeah, he's in like Sandy Creek, Utah, or something like that.
Okay.
Is that where the school shooting was, huh?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
That was.
I don't know why it sounds familiar. Well, there's been a ton of school shootings, but Sandy Creek sounds very familiar.
Sandy Hook was the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Sandy Hook. I got to see.
That was on the East Coast, I think, wasn't it?
Sandy Hook.
It's hard to keep them straight. Too damn many of them. Got those 80s.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, stop tripping, man, with these guns and stuff. I don't think we have to worry about that with our listeners, but
no, I don't think so. Stop tripping. Just in general, stop tripping.
Yeah, stop tripping, man.
Where do you think where are we at with the 49ers right now? We are now at pick Edgerrin Cooper, first linebacker in the draft, going to the Green Bay Packers at 45. We're at pick 45. So getting close to halfway through round 2. Niners still sitting there at 63. No trades for the Niners today. With every pick, it's less and less likely that Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk are going anywhere. And they do have plenty of ammunition. They got 3 fourth-round picks. They got a late third-round pick. They could go up to any spot right now if they really wanted to get a player. I don't know if that player is there to make that move. Suamataia is still probably my guy for them now that all of our first-round guys and our big board has pretty much been eaten up by all the rest of the picks here. You start to look at the tackles I mentioned a little bit earlier, Croc. So we got Kingsley Suamataia from BYU. Pretty good idea that the 49ers really like Roger Rosengarten out of Washington. You got Blake Fisher. They love their Notre Dame offensive lineman. Blake Fisher was the right tackle, the bookend for Joe Alt at Notre Dame. They did have a 30 visit as well with Caden Wallace. Those were the 4 offensive tackles that could stick at offensive tackle in the NFL that they did the most pre-draft work and meetings with. You got Javon Bullard, I think is a dark horse player for the 49ers at safety. Corner is drying up real quick, Croc. I don't know if there's a cornerback out there that I would even take in round 2 at this point, after Kool-Aid and Max Melton are off the board.
Yeah, they had a nice little run of second-round corners. There is a corner that I really like, but in my mock, I got him in the 4th. Now, I don't know where these teams will see him, but Cam Hart, big corner out of Notre Dame. And for a guy who's 6'3", 202 pounds, and I actually put this in my little scouting report. I don't know if you read this part, but in my scouting report, I said, my co-host Brian Peacock says that I'm biased against big corners. But he is a guy that I feel like I identified his fit and ability to be able to play off as well as press. Now he has some Travarius Ward to him, where I think Travarius Ward's from off coverage turn and run can be a little sluggish at times. But
it's a long-legged trait. That's why you don't like the bigger corners, right, Croc?
That's exactly why. I'm not like if you're gonna press him or press Bellum, Seattle scheme 3 type stuff they did with Sherman and Browner and those guys, awesome. Let's rock. But if you want them to play a whole lot of off, I probably would lean more 5'11", 190-pound corner who's more fleet-footed. And I think that's why, and I think we talked about it last year. A lot of you guys might forget this, but it's like, man, I kind of like the fit for Diamador Lenoir more than Travarius Ward. Even though Travarius Ward, he obviously had a terrific year. But I think we saw both of those guys play well in their respective rights.
I take it back, Croc. There's a couple corners that I think I like, that I think you also like, that could be options here late in round 2 for the 49ers. That is Mike Sanderstill, the nickel corner from Michigan, and then Andrew Phillips from Kentucky, also nickel type corner. And the 49ers for sure met with Andrew Phillips on a 30 visit. You mentioned Cam Hart, the beast. He's listed here as a 4th, 5th round pick, maybe. And right above him is DeCamarion Richardson, who the 49ers also met with on a 30 visit. He's another taller corner, 6'2", but only 188 pounds, ran 4.34. Cam Hart ran 4.50 at the combine, both taller, longer armed corners.
In the chat, we got Joshua Meeker. He says, Notre Dame fan here. Cam Hart is mediocre. I'd be interested to see how much better he is if he were a guy who was allowed to play press more. I mean, 85% of his snaps that I watched was a 6'3", 200-pound corner playing off coverage. And like quarters off coverage, not even like cover 3. So quarters is damn near like kind of off man a little bit. It kind of turns into man, your quarter stuff. So that's not as ideal for someone in his body size. Speaking from experience here, would have liked to see him pressed up more. But I thought if you're like, okay, every once in a while I want to play you off and you show good feet and instincts, terrific. Like, go ahead, mix it up. But with the amount of times that, Notre Dame just said, yeah, you're just going to sit off, you're just going to play off. I mean, I thought it was a little overkill for someone of his size.
Croc, the chat, not happy with what's going on with the Carolina Panthers. They moved up one spot to draft Xavier Legette last night after the Niners took Ricky Pearsall to end the first round. And now the Panthers in round 2 have traded out of their first pick with the Rams at 39 down to 46. And they've taken the first running back off the board, Texas running back Jonathan Brooks.
I see someone in the chat say, Craig Naughton says, Trey Benson is better than Brooks. I thought Trey Benson would be the first running back taken.
I think Brooks overall is probably the best running back. Obviously, there's injury reasons that maybe he hasn't been as popular in the pre-draft process. I like Jalen Wright quite a bit, and I would not be upset at all if the Niners were able to grab someone with 4.3 speed. That hit my comp for him was Raheem Mostert. To grab that kind of guy early on day 3, I'd be fine with that.
Was that Kyle Shanahan clip of him saying that he's probably going to draft a 3rd round running back that won't work out and then draft a 6th round running back who will be good? Was that current? Did you see that?
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see it.
It must have been current. It must have been current.
Doing so much of this stuff that I've missed a lot of the other things that analysts in the 49ers. I did see the 49ers post-draft press conference. They looked so. Here's another theory for me, Croc. I think the 49ers have been trying to do a lot and been unsuccessful. Obviously, they've been talking a lot because there's been a lot of these rumors and stuff about things that are happening. But Kyle and John looked kind of gassed after the first round last night. And they used every second of the clock before they drafted Ricky Pearsall. So I think they were trying to get out of that pick and go back, and they couldn't. And it kind of lines up with what I was saying earlier. When you look at the draft and we were looking at every pick and it was like, man, this worked out so great. And I bet every team's sitting there thinking, man, there's at least 1 or 2 guys we didn't expect was going to be here for us that's on the clock now before they made their pick. And I can't imagine the 49ers were sitting there at 31. And I can't imagine John Lynch looked over to Kyle and be like, man, I can't believe Ricky Pearsall's still on the board at 31. Like, I don't think they thought that, right? They were on the clock. But I think that most of the teams before them did feel that way. We felt that way during the live stream when we were looking at the names that were still available.
You think Kyle Shanahan said, let's go get Slick Rick. We got our guy. And then high fives all around. Everybody's celebrating.
I think that's
got our guy.
That's what happened.
Chris Sims was drunk last night.
Was he?
That's what the chat says.
Oh, man. I got to go catch up. I don't have time to go be watching.
I know.
5 more hours of draft coverage to catch all this stuff. Hey, I will say this, Croc, not just because we're here on YouTube doing this and we have for the last couple of evenings, but before we went on both days, I'm watching the pre-draft stuff on the big networks. It's kind of trash. Like, this is where it's at, Croc, on YouTube. This is better content. And I'm not saying, I'm saying the stuff I see on YouTube, not our stuff necessarily. There's really good content creators. There's really good analysts that are actually talking ball and not talking bullshit out of their ass for hours at a time, like on all the big networks. That, like, there is some really awful content out there on these big networks. And that's why we're able to do this, because people want it, because they realize how much better some of these much smaller content creators are at putting out better quality analysis, including my guy Eric Crocker.
I hope so. I have heard that a lot of the TV stuff kind of whack, but in the chat I see M Kib, and he says, nah, Pat McAfee was lit. I've heard that it was really good. They had a lot of coaches on. They had Saban on. They had Belichick on. And
yeah, I heard Belichick was really good. I knew Belichick was going to be good, though.
Yeah,
because he's not a TV guy. He's a football guy, and he's got a million stories. That guy's forgotten more stories about football than any of us will ever know. I did hear the story about Saban outing himself, like tampering with Toledo cornerback Quinyon Mitchell, was trying to get him to go in the portal so he could get him to go to Alabama. He was like, dude, I don't think you're supposed to say that.
Well, interesting that Mitchell was like, nah, I'm going to stay at Toledo.
I'm going to stay at Toledo.
You know what? I'm cool. I don't want to go to Alabama and play for a national championship. Let me just stay here at Toledo and play against Northern Illinois. I don't want to play against LSU. Have you heard about LSU in their games and like some of their chants?
No.
So they have a chant. There's a couple of them, but there's one. It's a song called Neck, and the whole student section sings the song really loud. So it sounds like this. And if you guys don't want to hear curse words or private words, cover your ears, all right, or mute me so your kids don't hear this. But it goes like this. Oh, suck that tiger's dick, bitch. And the whole crowd says it, like the whole crowd. And they go over and over. It's loud, it's clear. Like, that is a crazy SEC football. It's just a crazy place to play. How do you turn that down? Like, nah, I want to stay at Toledo.
I remember, and I don't know what kind of chance they got at Toledo, but I remember being at a Chico State like club roller hockey game and just saying the weirdest shit you could possibly think of, right? Like, that's what you do when you're that age, and you are just, you're turned up as much as you possibly can. And you can't wait to say the wildest thing to try to get under the other people's skin, and you don't care about any consequences when you're that age in life. And so, yeah, the college atmosphere is absolutely something. I wish the college football product was better, Croc. I hate scouting these college players, and especially these offensive schemes and these passing games and the spread and screens all day. I hate it. It's not fun to watch, and it makes it difficult to scout. Shout out to your dog, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to Romeo. I will say, watching the Florida Gators film, it was pretty interesting. I thought they mixed it up. They showed me some stuff where it's like I can clearly see how this guy fits in the 49ers offense, because a lot of times that's the hard part. How does this player project to the next level? How does this guy project to a different type of scheme? And watching Pearsall, it was very clear, like, oh, okay, they do this like the 49ers, and they do this, and these are some things that, man, I watched the 49ers do this with Deebo Samuel. It's like it was very clear. You could see a direct correlation to how his game translates, but that isn't with most teams. And sometimes I watch film on players, and like, man, it's hard to even have a takeaway from this because of how bland some of the college football games are.
Appreciate the super chat. Y'all are way better than network TV. Thanks for doing what you guys do. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody here. We got hundreds of folks here in the live chat with us. We got so many subscribers. I got so many subscribers instantly to the new channel. Thanks to all you folks. Love all the listeners on Locked On 49ers every day. Make sure you guys are subscribed to Locked On 49ers. Me and Croc doing it up every single day in the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm doing Peacock and Williamson. Me and Matt Williamson, former NFL scout, former ESPN writer. He does a lot of work with Steelers now, Steelers.com. And we talk about the NFL every day on the Locked On Podcast Network. And none of us would be able to do any of this stuff, which has become basically a dream job for me. And I love it. And I appreciate all the listeners out there. So much fun.
This job has afforded me so many things. Today, I worked out. I went and ate some protein waffles. And then I just went to the park and just walked around the park. And I saw one of my buddies. He said, Croc, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't really have anything else to do. So I just wanted to take a walk.
Croc, like getting in advanced old man mode. Just taking a walk in the park, whistling with the birds.
Crocs on, no socks, and just enjoying the sun.
That's one thing we got to do. We got to get the Crocs sponsorship going.
I'm trying. I've tagged them and everything. They're just like not big enough.
Like sport mode, Crocs for DBs. I think that's probably the angle to go. Maybe
we need some Croc cleats.
Yeah. Oh, maybe Palin Ramsey could get a sponsorship with Crocs.
Knees in the chat says, for just one Locked On subscription, you can help Croc afford some Five Guys. I don't think there's any amount of money that will make me be able to afford Five Guys for a family. So that's the thing. I'll actually eat Five Guys by myself. And even then, it kind of has to be a special occasion. But for a family, my kids have no idea what Five Guys is or what it tastes like. And they never will. Because I would never take my family. I won't even take my wife. Like I won't even, hey babe, want to go eat a burger? Let's go to Five Guys. Those words have never been uttered in the Crocker household.
But then after your little walk where you're whistling to the birds, you sneak over to Five Guys by yourself.
By myself. There's solo missions only.
Wow. I hope Pickle's not watching this stream and finding out all this information that Dad's withholding Five Guys from her.
Commanders, Mike Sandstrom.
Oh, there we go. Sandstrom off the board. I love what the Washington Commanders are doing, man. Adam Peters doing his thing. The Chris Jenkins going off the board right before that to the Cincinnati Bengals. Mason Smith, big, kind of old school, like 3-4 defensive end style, 5 technique player. The tape's not amazing, but he's still that 5-star type of body and prospect that I think the Jaguars are hoping. That's a ball. Oh, it's a bulky pick. Of course it is. Big, long-armed. He's that guy for Trent Baalke in round 2. I should have seen that coming. We had another safety off the board as well. The New York Giants, Minnesota safety Tyler Nubin. Since we've been chopping it up, missed a few picks there in the second round. I like the Sandstrom pick. I like what Adam Peters and the Washington Commanders are doing, Croc. And of course,
did we mention that comment that you just had up? Did we talk about that?
I wanted to bring this up earlier when you're talking about. So Croc hates DBs that are like him. Kyle Shanahan wants receivers that are like him. The quicker than fast slot receivers, the guys that get open, but maybe don't stretch the field.
It's like, I understand, if you don't want to 100% prioritize the 6'4" big body guy, contested catch, the Mike Williams of the world, but to not have any of them, like you don't want to build kind of I always envision, even on defense kind of too, like, I would like the big corner to be able to match up with certain guys. I just probably wouldn't prioritize that depending on my scheme. Matter of fact, I would play more press man, so I probably would like some of the bigger guys. But for Kyle Shanahan, he wants a certain type of receiver, and he just does not veer away from that. He had Tim Patrick, who was a talented guy, and it was very clear Tim Patrick had no shot making the 49ers. He went to the Broncos and was solid. Like, not saying he was this, crazy receiver, but if you would have asked me that Tim Patrick, who was, whatever he was for the next few years, towards ACL recently, or Juwan Jennings, I was like, oh, give me Tim Patrick. But Kyle doesn't like guys who are tall and fast. It's like if you're tall, you got to be really slow, but just have a good 3-cone or yards after catch.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been odd that he doesn't like guys that, oh yeah, let me get this. He did like Hurd, but even Hurd wasn't a 50-50 ball catch guy.
No, he was a 6'5" running back.
He was a 6'5" running back that could like separate in short areas. And Kyle like, oh man, you got a 6.66 3-cone.
He wants to have a fast guy, but doesn't really want to use him. Right? He just wants to show some speed out there, but it's not part of the game plan. Guy Kyle Shanahan, what he likes. Some super chats I missed, and Brian says, at what point do you think the Niners trade up? And like we kind of have been at that point the entire second round. I think it's been a possibility. I just don't know what the target would be now for the 49ers. A lot of our favorite guys are sliding off the board. Again, I would just go back to the offensive tackles, and I would go Sua Mata'ia, Roger Rosengarten, and Blake Fisher, probably in that order.
I think the biggest question, and I spent some time in spaces, listening to the 49er faithful, and a lot of people want tackle kind of no matter what. They don't care if it's a scheme fit. They don't care. They just want somebody to take this spot of McKivitz.
They just hate Colton McKivitz. Yeah.
Yeah. They hate McKivitz, and 49ers right side of the line, it struggles. And I try to say, like, I too think the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, they want to get better at right tackle. But are they going to use one of these picks on guys that potentially can start? Let's say right now they draft a safety. They're probably drafting that safety to start, Ricky Pearsall. They're playing him, they're drafting him to have a legit role. If you draft a tackle and he gets beat out by McKivitz, or you don't identify him as someone who can beat out McKivitz, that puts you in a tough spot when you could have added a starter at another position. And the 49ers offense, with their struggles, still had one of the more efficient offenses in the league. You had a quarterback that was completing over 70+% of his passes, highly efficient, like in every metric. Is like Brock Purdy was like the most efficient quarterback in every level, every metric. So for your team, you had the league leading rusher in the NFL. So to have that kind of success offensively and bring that entire offensive line back, again, I don't think he believes, oh, this is just a great offensive line, but I do think he believes not anybody can just come in and replace him. It has to be the right guy. I think those guys were in the top 20.
Brian also says at this point, just go Nepo draft. I don't think we're at the Nepo portion of this draft quite yet. Damon has an interesting one. 3rd, 4th, and Juwan Jennings. Can that get them into the mid-second round? Could they potentially get on the board quick and even keep their original second-round pick? I like it. Oh, Zach Frazier off the board. Dude, this was the perfect pick. Matt Williamson, my guy from Peacock and Williamson, was talking about it, and Zach Frazier in round 2 was kind of like the ideal player to fall to them. They needed a tackle. They needed a center. They got both in this draft. They got Troy Fautanu in round 1, and now they double back on the offensive line, get West Virginia center Zach Frazier at pick number 51. So I think there's a lot of really happy Steelers fans out there.
I really like what the Steelers have done. Getting Fautanu, then double back, getting Frazier. Like their offensive line was a weakness. And, the Pouncey brother retired recently. They've been trying to get better on that O-line. It was a really big issue. They could not run the ball. And now it's like, all right, we got some quarterbacks on the cheap, 2 different styles of quarterbacks, or similar style, one older, one younger. But you got 2 quarterbacks. You do have a receiver. Obviously, I think they would love to add a receiver to the room, and maybe you can see that 3rd round. But you have 2 running backs that they like. Number 30, can't think of his name right now. And obviously, 22, can't think of his name, but from the Bay Area, out of Alabama. You got 2 running backs. Najee Harris, excuse me.
Yeah.
You got 2 running backs that you like. Bolstering up the offensive line, I think, will do wonders. The defense has been really good. Somehow they were still able to win games because of the defense. But you're not going to go too much further than that. So you added the quarterback. You got some weapons. You got some backs. Let's bolster up this offensive line. I really like what the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing.
I like what DJGHOS. I don't know if you're supposed to pronounce that word or not. I'm not going to try it. Is Slick Rick the pick that moves Jennings over to tight end too? They might have fixed 2 spots with 1 pick. I didn't think about that. I like where your head's at, though. Juwan Jennings should have been a tight end maybe for a little while. They kind of utilize him as a split out tight end anyway most of the time. Is he now the tight end 2 that they keep trying to find and can't find? And Ricky Pearsall takes over that the third and Juwan role. Or maybe you kind of double up with the third, and you got the Slick Rick on one side, and you got the third and Juwan on the other side on third downs.
Well, you've been trying to move Juwan Jennings to tight end for a while now.
Yeah. And it's almost where I think Kyle purposely wants him to be a quote unquote wide receiver, but treat him like a tight end because it gives him an advantage. If he says he's a tight end, and everyone knows he's a tight end, then they gets treated differently.
Yeah.
Juwan Jennings, is he really only 215? He doesn't look 215 to me. He's never looked 215.
I think he's only like 215.
Really?
Yeah, he doesn't look like super heavy or anything.
I would guess 225.
Nah.
Come on. How tall
now,
is he? 3, right?
They turned Jordan Matthews into a tight end, so anything is possible.
Adonai Mitchell off the board goes to the Indianapolis Colts. That is exactly the type of player that Chris Ballard likes. He's going to be a relative athletic score hero. So that one checks out for sure for the Colts. And again, reasons why these guys fell. Some people thought that AD Mitchell was a first-round player, first-round athlete, but he had multiple red flags that I think scared some teams off, and that's why he fell to this point into the 50s. Cleveland has not made an appearance yet. The final team that hasn't selected, Washington Commanders pick first at 53. Then at 54, the Browns check in, and then every team will have made a selection in this 2024 NFL Draft, Croc. Speaking of the Commanders, since they're back on the clock, they've taken Mike Sanderstill just a couple picks ago. They already selected Johnny Newton, who's a guy I really like, at the top of the second round. And then they drafted their quarterback of the future in the first round in Jaden Daniels, Croc. And you already know, and people are already saying it, but if the fans, who some of them don't like that pick the 49ers made in round 1, if they don't like the pick the 49ers make in round 2, you know what the conversation is going to be amongst 49ers fans. It's going to be, they let the mastermind out of the building. It was all Adam Peters doing that was making all the good picks for the 49ers, and it was Kyle and John making all the bad picks for the 49ers all along.
They're showing the Adonai Mitchell highlights right now when he was with the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
He did look quicker. He looked quicker.
It's not a good sign when they have to show highlights in your draft package from 3 years ago either, right?
But he does have some CD Lamb to his game. He got some CD Lamb to his game. He got some CD to his game. I can see that. It's much bigger.
Is Luke McCaffrey out now in the middle rounds for the 49ers since they drafted Ricky Pearsall, and they're kind of a similar archetype, right? That was like the slot, the quicker slot type of receiver. Very similar strengths, weaknesses.
Where is he projected to go?
Like 4th, 5th round.
I'd go Rice. If I'm gonna go Nepo child, I'll go Brendan Rice.
Go Brendan Rice.
I just feel like he just gives me something different. Like if I want to take a shot at one of these guys and see what they do, like give me the guy that's not like any other receiver I have.
I don't know that he's a Kyle type of receiver, but Luke is definitely more similar to Ricky Pearsall. And Brandon Rice would be a little bit more similar to an outside receiver that you don't have yet. Craig says, pretty sure Peters didn't make any picks in San Francisco. Well, he wasn't the GM, so he didn't have final say. But his job title was very much in charge of being a big part of putting together the NFL draft. I mean, he's in charge of the entire scouting department. So, yeah. He had a hand in it. Oh, Ben Sinnott, tight end out of K-State, is the pick, it looks like, for Adam Peters and the Washington Commanders at number 53 overall. He was the kind of the kittleish guy. He was tested really good, a battler. He's a player a lot of people were really a fan of his tape. And he is now the second. He's tight end 2 in this class, right? No other tight ends have been selected between Bowers and now Ben Sinnott out of Kansas State. He knows the value of a tight end too, for a young quarterback especially. And that brings us to the.
I watched him. I watched a couple of games with him. I thought he was more like H-back than tight end.
It was the number. It was the number, Croc. He wore like 34 or something, 45. What was his number?
Yeah, something nasty. You think if we put like, made him look like a real skill position player, put number 1 on him, I would have viewed him differently.
He tested really well too. So here is his testing information. Ben Sinnott, 4th-year junior out of Kansas State. 6'3" and 7/8. So a hair under 6'4", 250 pounds, ran 4.68. He 32 and 3/8 inch arms. Hold on, let me go down to where all of his information is. Okay. I thought he ran a faster 40 for some reason.
No, but that's still pretty good.
I mean, for a 250-pound guy, 4.68 is good. Yeah. He had a 40. So yeah, he did have some good testing numbers. 40-inch vertical, a 10.6 broad jump, 4.23 short shuttle for a tight end is awesome, and a 6.82 3-cone, which is also awesome for a tight end. So the agilities, the jumps were fantastic, and a really good 40 time as well. 4.68 for a guy 6'4", 250. That's Ben Sinnott.
I'm surprised when Kyle Shanahan heard that 3-cone, he didn't look like.
Well, hey, who was about to get selected at 63, and Adam Peters just took his guy, I think. That 3-cone.
Yeah.
I wonder if Kyle's like got 3 cones set up permanently in his backyard and he just goes out there and runs.
Okay, 3 steps here, 4 steps here. Why can't they just get it right?
He gets home from work and gets hammered and just runs 3 cones in the backyard by himself.
I think it's 4, 6, 3.
Those are the steps?
Yeah, those are the steps.
Because you go all the way around with the 6 steps, right?
Oh, wait, I'm thinking of the 5, 10, 5.
Oh, so that's the wrong shuttle. Okay. That's the shuttle.
Yeah.
They stopped doing the longer shuttle, right?
Yeah, they don't do the long shuttle anymore. They just do the short
long shuttle.
The crazy thing, I never had to do the long shuttle. I think in like conditioning.
Did you ever run the lines in basketball?
Yeah, definitely. Like ladders or suicides or whatever.
Yeah, where you keep going back and forth, and you go to the short ones, and you're just like, you go across the court. Croc, what's the difference between short shuttle and 3-cone? One shows your hip looseness, and one shows just stop-start ability, right?
Start, stop, lateral movement. Because you're supposed to do like a crossover run. Crossover run to the first one, 4 or 6 steps to the last cone, and then 3 steps coming back.
Yeah, run
so through. It's a lot of just lateral.
Yeah, you're going in a straight line this way, and then back the other way. For the 3-cone, or also known as the L drill, you're actually turning a corner. That's why it's so good for pass rushers too, because it kind of mimics running the arc in a pass rush.
Number 34 for Ben Sinnott.
34, yeah, bad number. Made him look even more like an H-back. And he's still, 6'3" and 7/8, 250. That's kind of H-backy size when you start getting under 6'4" for a tight end. Square body. Yeah. 10 picks until the 49ers select at number 63. The trade action has died down a little bit now. 49ers have made 0 trades, Croc. You owe me $1,000.
That's really just wild. 0 trades for the 49ers. Like, not even trading back.
So it was the 2020 draft, I think, right? With Ayuk and Kinlaw. John Lynch traded every single one of his original picks he had. He didn't draft one time in their original draft slot in that whole draft. And then, was it last year or the year before, they made 0 trades in the entire draft. And this year so far, with all the talk, all the smoke, we've seen they've only made 1 pick so far with a lot of picks to go, but still made 0 trades thus far. And I fully expected them to get up here. And that was my big prediction for this draft, that they were going to make at least 1 pick, and there's still time to make 1 selection between their original first and second round picks. Feeling less likely that that's going to happen now, Croc.
I'm not confident that they're going to make any trades, especially right now. They're going to move up a few spots. I can still see them moving up a few spots, but.
Well, there hasn't been another run on those other tackles. So I think that would probably spur it. Like, let's say, I always love pick 55 for them too, with the Dolphins, because the Dolphins don't have a 3rd round pick. And I think they might not even have a 4th round pick. There's a huge gap in picks for the Dolphins after 55. So it always felt like the Dolphins would be a really natural trade partner for the 49ers to be able to entice them with a pick for them to drop down a little bit and then have another pick to shorten that gap between their selections they have between day 2 and day 3. And we're now on pick 55. So this is the spot. And usually these trades have happened before the team shows up on the tracker I'm looking at on ESPN.com. So it feels like a trade's not going to happen if it hasn't already shown up by the time they're actually on the clock. And Michael Hall Jr., the defensive tackle pass rusher from Ohio State, stays in state and goes to the Cleveland Browns at pick 54.
And we didn't watch him.
I ended up watching a little bit of him because he was another one of those pass rushing interior tackles that I thought the 49ers might be interested in the first couple of rounds. Apparently he wasn't even really a starter at Ohio State. There was talk. There was the anonymous scouts were quoted saying he was kind of immature, probably jumped out of school too early, and but he's a crazy athletic inside pass rusher. Could have been a big time prospect maybe next year if he'd have stayed, but he bailed early. Amarius Mims and Suamataia Croc are 2 other prospects that I don't know how their agents didn't tell him to go back to school, especially Mims. Like, Mims still ended up going pick 18, but man, with NIL money, I imagine at Georgia, Mims could have made some serious money going back to school. And on all those mock drafts, the day after the draft, like Kuiper and all the folks that make mock drafts, Amarius Mims would have been a top 5 pick in those mock drafts for next year if he'd have just stayed in school. And then he would have had an ability to prove that he, wasn't injured all the time, could have had a full season playing either left tackle, right tackle. I mean, he could have gone very high in the NFL draft next year. I'm surprised he wasn't advised to do that. And Kingsley Suamataia, also such a young prospect, redshirt sophomore, just barely turned 21. He finished his season at the age of 20 and clearly has some technique work to work on. Would have benefited him to go back, and he probably would have been a lock first rounder as well in those mock drafts for next year, especially with such a deep offensive tackle class. So I'm surprised both of those players declared, actually. And Rosengarten, by the way, too, he's a little older, but he was a 4th-year junior and declared early. He could have gone back to school and played left tackle because he'd been playing right tackle. Would that have helped his stock to have another full season playing left tackle?
Thinking about Rosengarten, especially Rosengarten, I do feel like the 49ers identified him as someone that they would like. Maybe I'm misreading this, and that's why they haven't traded up. Because I feel like if they truly wanted him specifically, and maybe they have similar grades on him and Kingsley Suamataia.
Yeah.
But I just thought Rosengarten was a guy that, they would like him.
It really felt like that he was the guy they were going to love. And we saw it. And I can't believe I didn't realize this about Pearsall early in the process, that he was from Arizona State and
Herm Edwards
and the Herm Edwards connection. They trust that. And so, like, I wouldn't be shocked at all if they just absolutely loved Rosengarten because they trusted it. Gold helmet next to his name. He's got a lot of athleticism. He needs to get stronger, get better with stronger hands. His arms aren't that long, so that's what worries me a little bit about him. But he's competitive, and if he's got great reports from Ed McCaffrey, and I mean, he's been coached up by some legends, and Joe Staley, if they give him the thumbs up, man, I don't see how the 49ers couldn't love Roger Rosengarten. So I would not, that would be the guess for my pick here in round 2 for the Niners is Roger Rosengarten. I like Kingsley Suamata'ia's upside a little bit more as a potential right tackle, left tackle in the NFL. Blake Fisher's another name too that's interesting for the 49ers, who they also met with. So one of those 3 guys is who I'd be guessing here.
Patrick Paul just drafted tackle out of Houston, went to the Miami Dolphins. That's a guy that we watched as well.
Yeah, and we liked him. I think we liked him more than a lot of people did. We liked him more than Guyton, maybe even. And the fact that he went to the Dolphins tells me that scheme fit wise, he could have been a Niner. Interesting.
I feel like yes, in theory, but it almost feels like they are prioritizing maybe something a little bit more on this side. Like speed seems to be a deciding factor with McDaniel. Like McDaniel is just trying to get as fast as possible. Like, how can we just be the fastest team out there? And at times prioritizing that over even like physicality.
Trey Benson here for the Cowboys, second running back off the board. That's my guess.
That's who my brother wants. He wants Benson.
Is it? Tampa Bay has to take TJ Tampa. I'm with you on that. Croc and I weren't super high on Tampa. He wouldn't be at the top of my list for the Niners here in round 2, maybe round 3. DB, OT, right? None of those centers are left anymore, Croc. It's DB and OT. They already took a wide receiver. Is there a defensive? Marshawn Neeland still around? Niners met with him.
We weren't as high on Neeland.
Yeah. I mean,
but maybe for pick 63.
I watched him under the lens of, wow, people are talking about him being a sneaky first-round pick and pulling the Pearsall on us where nobody expects to see that name, and that name shows up. And so I watched him thinking that, and I was like, oh, no, definitely don't see a first-rounder. But we started talking about him on day 2. I mean, I would love him in round 3. Round 2, he's a one-trick pony, which I don't like, but he plays with a crazy motor. He's a little tight-hipped. I mean, I'd probably still go with one of the tackles if it were me. I mean, Suamata'i is my guy here at this point. Like clearly he's the best player with potential to what he could be as a tackle in the NFL to me. But I can see the Niners going in a number of directions here.
Craig in the chat says Jalen Wright has been mentioned for the Cowboys. I know we don't want that.
Yeah, speed. Both those guys are 4.3 guys, Benson and Wright, right? Yeah, Bullard. Bullard I mentioned a little earlier. I think Javon Bullard is the player. He's really smart. He would absolutely be somebody that could be in play for the 49ers. At the same time, though, Croc, like they've been talking with, unless he's signed and I didn't see it, Justin Simmons is still out there, right? And there's word that the Niners kind of reached out to him. And if you want a safety that can start right now, just go sign Justin Simmons. Although I do like Javon Bullard, and apparently he's like extremely smart and a player that knocked out his interviews with teams.
So I just looked it up. Simmons is a free agent.
Still a free agent, okay.
Yeah, he is a free agent.
Safety market's tough, man. They're getting the running back treatment. And actually, the running backs even got paid this offseason, and the safeties haven't. Patrick Paul has a longer reach than LeBron. Love that. I think I saw it with Mims, who also is one of those 36-inch arm guys. His wingspan is like a quarter of an inch shorter than Giannis.
That's crazy because he's like 6'10", 6'11".
RDC says Bullard more of a nickel, in my opinion. Yeah, that works too. Safety / nickel. Versatility. Positionless offense. You need positionless defense to battle with them.
I'm watching the Cowboys war room. They're celebrating the pick. It's like, do we have to do this? Do I gotta act fake and like shake everybody's hand and dap everybody up and act like we're so excited for pick 56?
Great work, gentlemen. I mean, there's so much work put into it. It just probably feels like a weight off your shoulders, and it's a culmination. Looks like Marshawn Kneeland to the Dallas Cowboys. No running back there.
I think I just saw something that said the Cowboys were going to bring back Zeke Elliott.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, I can't imagine bringing back Zeke as like a main part of your running game. Jason with the super chat. When does Deebo go? Plus, what are the best players left? Best players left. I think Deebo's staying, guys. Like, and to be honest with you, I like Pearsall more in the slot with Deebo and Ayuk. As far as the near term goes. And we know how Kyle is with rookie wide receivers. You trade Deebo or Brandon Ayuk, what's to say that Ricky Pearsall doesn't have a little path through the doghouse?
No, get down.
In this Super Bowl window, right? Bring him along slow. I know he's a first-round pick, but bring him along slow. Although he is polished and ready to play, Ricky Pearsall is. So he should be able theoretically to play early for the 49ers as long as he can grasp Kyle's playbook early. I don't think Deebo goes at this point. Maybe he does. Best players left, I would say, we just kind of went through the offensive tackles. It's Sua Mata'ia. It's Roger Rosengarten. It's Blake Fisher. Maybe Caden Wallace as well. Maybe Fisher and Wallace could be more third-round guys. It's hard to tell. But if you can play offensive tackle in the NFL, and we're starting to see a couple more offensive tackles coming off the board. And I think if the 49ers move up, that'll probably be the indicator, right? Like Sua Mata'ia goes to a team, then boom, trade up for Rosengarten. It could be one of those things, right?
Maybe that's what they're waiting on.
Yeah, they're waiting for the run, and maybe Patrick Paul was the beginning of that. And another tackle goes, and then they're going to go attack their guy. So that could be it. Vaughn Bullard would be one of the best available, I think, for me. Any players you've been looking at that are most of the targets we really liked for the 49ers in sort of a trade up situation, and all the first round types are gone. Ennis Rakestraw was kind of a guy that we liked but didn't love, right?
I didn't care for someone that moved like Eric Crocker but was almost 20 pounds lighter.
Smaller. Right, exactly. What about TJ Tampa? And his comp was Eric Crocker, and you didn't like him either.
Nah.
Third round for Tampa, right?
It felt like that for me. Remember, there were people that were like, "Oh man, like Rakestraw," like, or they were looking at some of those guys. TJ Tampa, like, "Oh man, is he the best corner in this class?" I'm like, "What are you guys looking at?"
Oh, another name is Chris Braswell, edge rusher out of Alabama, who the 49ers met with, who is ranked around the 50s in the consensus big board, 6'3", 251 out of Alabama. He had a career high 8.5 sacks last year for Alabama. He's an athletic, more of an undersized, sort of a stand-up type rusher. Interesting name to look out for the 49ers here as well. Trying to think of what the shocking pick would be. Troy Franklin's still out there, isn't he, Croc?
I'm trying to see what my brother thinks about the Marshawn Kneeland pick.
He'll talk himself into it. That's what fans do. You hate it at first, then you talk yourself into it. Then you go buy the jersey.
That's why I love like the fact that I wanted a guy that we talked about. Even at least with the Pearsall thing, right? Like I mocked him to the 49ers. So it's like you could see that and you could see what I thought about him, and the Adam Thielen comp and everything was in there. So it's like you can't be like, "Oh, Croc, you didn't like this guy. Now you like him all of a sudden." Like, nah, look, I liked him.
Yeah.
I didn't know he would go first round, but I liked him.
And he's clearly someone that like I knew Kyle was going to like more than me, or at least Kyle would like. And I thought he was a second round guy, late second, ends up going late first. So Kyle liked him around more than we did. Dorless, yeah, maybe Brandon Dorless, kind of a rotational rusher, but we just saw Braden Fisk, a rotational rusher, go earlier in round 2. So Brandon Dorlus, I think, would probably be an option here for the 49ers. Could potentially play some big end, be a pass rusher from the inside, another player they met with. That's probably a good call to be on the watch list for the 49ers here late in round 2. Cooper Beebe as well. More of probably a guard or center in the NFL. Played tackle at Kansas State, right? And then should most likely move inside in the NFL. Trying to look at some of the best available, just to see if there's any names we're forgetting that could be options for the San Francisco 49ers right now. I'm also looking for that shocker name. Adisa Isaac is a name that hasn't been popular, but has shown up late in the process on a lot of big boards from a lot of draft analysts. Adisa Isaac, an edge rusher out of Penn State. He was on the opposite side of the defensive line with Chop Robinson at Penn State. Kind of undersized, a little bit longer than Chop, linear edge rusher. Another one is this could be like if John Lynch loves a player in this draft, Malik Mustafa, Wake Forest, strong safety.
I liked him. Matter of fact, my guy, shout out to Desmond Bishop. He sent me some clips. He's like, man, look at this safety. I'm like, yeah, watch him. You see him run the alley. Yeah. Hard hitter.
Thumper.
Guy that fills the gaps.
Absolutely. And he worked out pretty well, like 4.5, 40. Let me look up Malik Mustafa. Another name to look out for that I watched recently, and I was surprised more people weren't excited about him, is Jonah Ellis out of Utah. He's like 6'2", 250, but he's kind of, 33-inch arms, not super stubby edge rusher. He's got some moves out of the University of Utah. He's at the end. He's actually 94, which is what the 49ers are picking here on the top 100 of Dane Brugler's Beast. So maybe a player to look out for in the 3rd round.
I see in the chat someone mentioned Mo Kamara, the edge out of Colorado State, I believe. And I remember watching him. And again, I didn't study him, but definitely watched him against Colorado. And Prime's team, it was on primetime television, ESPN, everybody's watching it. And he was kind of wrecking shop. But now we have found out Colorado's offensive line was trash. But if there was a guy that you said, hey, you should dominate against this team, he did exactly what he was supposed to do.
Speaking of stubby, he's only 6'1", but he's got a pass rush plan, and I have a hard time believing teams just don't know what to do with a guy who's 6'1" coming off the edge and short armed, 32-inch arms. Like they just don't know what to do with him.
3 tech.
He's like 245 pounds.
Oh, can't be a 3 tech. Off-ball linebacker.
Malik Mustafa, by the way, 5'10" and an eighth, 206 pounds, ran 4.54, 41.5-inch vertical, 10.6 broad jump, 22 bench press reps, did not run the agilities. And I'm not surprised he didn't run the agilities because that's not his number one strength. If he can hang in coverage, like he's a dude. He's a starting safety in the NFL for sure. I love watching Malik Mustafa. He might surprise people and going a little bit higher than people think. Cole Bishop out of Utah as well. A little bit more athletic, linear, maybe free safety type, 6'2", 206, ran 4.45, 39-inch vertical at the combine.
Here we go. Tampa Bay Buccaneers pick is in. William Goldston to announce the pick. Pick 57. 49ers coming up.
Oh, that's right. We get Spice Adams announcing the pick. Kieran Amagaji. I don't know what to do with Kieran Amagaji. Played at Yale. He's got the size, looks athletic on tape, but he's got a really nasty quad injury. Hasn't been able to work out at all. He's a 2nd round guy already. I can't imagine him going this high just based on hoping and just Yale tape. No Senior Bowl, no workout numbers to go by. I think he's going to slide. I think he's, maybe pick 94 if the Niners can't get a tackle here and you just kind of like hope and get a developmental guy. The Niners, Croc, though, they don't like projects very much. Kyle wants to see it. He wants to see something that kind of even looks like his offense. He wants a finished product. He wants to see it before he drafts them. That's how he's done with his quarterbacks. That's how he's done with his wide receivers. That's how it was with Ricky Pearsall.
I was going to say that's definitely how it was with CJ Beathard, right off bat. It's like they had asked him about, how he identifies quarterbacks. And it's like, with a lot of these offenses, it's kind of hard to see some of the NFL throws you want to see. But with Iowa's offense, it was very clear because he played under center a lot. He was able to turn his back to the, defense, snap back around and make some throws. So that's why he watched more on CJ Beathard than he did Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson, which sounds wild. But he prioritizes that so much as opposed to thinking, all right, this guy has a ton of talent. Can I get him to do what I want him to do? He kind of needs to see it first.
Muhammad Kamara, by the way, in the Beast, he's got a 5th round grade, 6'1 3/8, 248, but did run a 4.57, 32 3/8 inch arm length. Older prospect, 5th-year senior. Super productive, high motor. Just his body type doesn't play in the NFL. Teams don't like it. So, yeah, I think he's going to be a day 3 guy for sure. But everyone loves him when they put on the tape. They're like, sacks, get this guy. It's like the league doesn't draft those dudes.
In the chat, Joe Kelly said, Trey Lance reinforced that as far as the finished product thing goes. And it's like, yeah, like Lance never had a chance. It's like, this doesn't look like how I want it. Like,
nope.
Can I move on, please? Oh, Brock Purdy. Yes. Hey, Jet, it's the best guy we have. Get this other guy out of here. He needs to see it. I mean, that's the thing with, unless he 100% has to play you. He ends up having to play Lance because of injury. And he actually didn't do bad, right? Like one game, it was a little shaky. Second time we saw him out there, completed 70% of his passes, 2 touchdowns, like did good. But it was like, I need something I can really know. You look at Brandon Ayuk, he was like, I don't, if guys weren't hurt, Ayuk wouldn't have played. Like he definitely wants it a very specific way. And that's why the 49ers, they are as good as they are, but he is quick to kind of move off of any kind of investment. Blake Fisher going.
Blake Fisher. The pick is in for the Houston Texans. So, yeah, that's a fit. Similar offense. Shanahan tree. Athletic, projectable, tackle. Not a finished product is Blake Fisher. He was right there in that group. Roger Rosengarten and Kingsley Suamata-Ia. So, is this where the 49ers see that and start to make their move?
Got a couple picks, between now and the time the 49ers pick. Will the other 2 guys that we identified as potential 49ers picks still be on the board? I think Rosengarten's a pick.
Feels that way. And I could see if Suamata-Ia goes, they trade up for Rosengarten. If Rosengarten goes right now, they trade up for Suamata-Ia. And maybe if they're both still available, they just hang out at 63. If I'm trying to get into their heads, and Croc, it's a dangerous place to be. It's hard to get in the head of what these guys are going to do because Kyle and John throw us for a loop often when you think you know what they're about to do, especially as it pertains to the NFL draft. So 3 more picks until the San Francisco 49ers are on the clock. We got the Buffalo Bills at 60. We got the Detroit Lions at 61 and the Baltimore Ravens at 62. Blake Fisher. Javon Bullard did go to the Green Bay Packers at 58 as well. Chris Braswell, another guy we were talking about. So we're talking about all 3 of these, or 4 of these guys right in a row. Marshawn Nealand at 56 to the Cowboys. Chris Braswell, edge rusher out of Alabama, to Tampa at 57. Javon Bullard, the safety nickel out of Georgia, goes to the Packers at 58. Must have been a consolation there for the Packers after they moved out, after Cooper DeJean went, when the Eagles traded up in front of them. Another safety / nickel style player a little bit later in round 2 here for Green Bay with Javon Bullard.
Is there a surprise position that you can see the 49ers taking right now? it almost feels like with Suamataia and Rosengarten on the board, it's like you kind of got to take one of those guys. But
Yeah, it's really hard to envision it. But I mean, nobody saw the Ricky Pearsall thing coming, so you should expect the unexpected in the NFL draft. What would the position be if it's not offensive line or defensive back?
tight end. I
Another
see
wide
Steve
receiver?
say that in the chat. You know me. I've
Yeah.
been heavy on the tight end too, and I think it should be more of a priority.
No faith that Cameron Latu is going to turn it around next year, like we saw with, say, we've seen some prospects recently kind of come out of the doghouse, right? I mean, Ayuk did it.
Yeah.
I think there's a better example that I'm blanking on right now with the 49ers.
Ayuk is like the best example of that. Oh, Aaron Banks.
Aaron
I
Banks,
think
that was it. Yeah, Aaron Banks. He didn't even suit up at all, and he didn't have the injury. They couldn't even stash him with an injury on IR. He was just inactive every week. And all of a sudden, boom, he's a starter.
And there's people that really say, "Oh no, he could have played. They just had who's the left guard?
The Tomlinson, Laken Tomlinson.
Oh, they had Laken Tomlinson. That's why they didn't play. It's like, dude, he didn't even suit up. Like, no, he had to change a lot about himself, and he did.
Yeah,
and he did.
And we might see that with Roger Rosengarten, because I think Roger, like for Suamataia, it's more technique. For Roger Rosengarten, I think he might need a year of NFL weight training. I think it might be just a little functional strength and hand strength and some things that he might need to work on, and why he couldn't win a job right away. And even with Pearsall, yeah, like I don't know how much we should expect any of these rookies to play in year one. And we always think they're going to get on the field, going to go win a starting job, and they might eventually, but it's hard in the NFL for a rookie to go win a starting job. Even if you think Colton McKivitz is trash, he's not going to hand that job over that easy.
49ers might as well double up at receiver and go Malachi Corley here. All right, Deebo, now we really got your replacement.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm joking. I'm joking, by the way, guys.
You're out the door, Deebo.
Yeah. But Buffalo, I could see them potentially doubling up at receiver. They drafted one. Like, they don't have receivers. Like, if you ask me to name who their receivers are right now, I have no idea. Oh, number, what is it? Skyler? No. Yeah. No. I'm thinking of the guy from the Chiefs. They got the light-skinned guy from Boise State, right?
Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, Khalil Shakir.
Yeah. They went safety out of Utah, Cole Bishop. Buffalo Bills at pick number 60.
Gotcha.
2 more picks to go, and the 49ers are on the clock. If the Lions don't take a tackle, then one of Suamataia and Rosengarten are guaranteed to be there for the 49ers at 63, and then we can watch them pass on them and surprise us and draft something else. And so I can't wait for that. But 2 more picks.
That's how you do it.
To answer your question, I still can't come up. Yeah, tight end maybe could be that sneaky position. I don't know what the player would be. I think is it Jatavian Sanders out of Texas still on the board? Little smaller, more athletic type of a tight end. 6'3", 7'8", 245, ran a 4.69. So kind of similar height, weight, speed to Ben Sinnott, who just went earlier to Washington in the second round. You got Theo Johnson, who's 6'6", 259, but he ran a 4.57 and really good workout numbers, and is a willing blocker, could play that Y tight end spot if that's the style of player you're looking at for tight end too. And there's a really big correlation, Croc, with athleticism with tight ends and testing numbers and their development in the NFL. Like, you want to draft athletes at the tight end position and then teach them how to play in the NFL. And we saw that firsthand with George Kittle. Jared Wiley's another one out of TCU, 6'6", 249. He ran a 4.62 at the combine.
Oh, Rosengarten to the Ravens. So the Niners just must have didn't like him.
Oh, what about the Lions pick is in too then? I'm not seeing it. So that means the
Yeah.
Niners are on the clock.
So because I'm watching it right now, and the Lions are like up to announce the pick. So, all right, this is at the time where I stop looking at the comments.
Yeah, we're this is what we do. We're all gonna know the pick before Croc. We'll see if it's a fake pick leaked this time too. So don't get duped by the fake pick. Niners are on the clock at pick 63. No trades in round 2. Who's it gonna be? Clearly, Croc, the highest guy on both of our boards is offensive tackle out of BYU, Kingsley Suamataia. He's a prospect that the Niners brought in on a 30 visit. He's got NFL starting traits at offensive tackle. He's played one season left tackle, one season right tackle. Needs some technique work. He's just a pup. A redshirt sophomore out of BYU. Penei Sewell's cousin. Very similar physical testing traits to his cousin, Penei Sewell, by the way. Former 5-star recruit at Oregon. Ended up transferring to BYU for his 2 seasons of playing time. That's clearly the number 1 guy for me, which means the Niners are not going to take him here. Wow, Rosengarten, the pick before. I wonder if the Baltimore Ravens just broke the 49ers' hearts with that pick.
And for them to get that in that fast, like they just knew the guy that they wanted.
Yeah, they were waiting for it. After the Blake Fisher pick, if the Niners really wanted specifically one of the tackles, that would have been the time to move up. And who knows, maybe the 49ers were trying and those teams didn't want to trade down.
Watch Rickshaw end up being good. Every time, like on these type of guys, I think of Jalen Johnson, and I liked his game, but I just wasn't as high. It ended up being one of the better corners from that class, obviously.
Hey, Croc, when the pick comes up, turn up your TV so we can hear it.
Okay.
Just for the announcement.
Well, they're still like pick is in, Lions stuff. Then they got Baltimore. Like the 49er fans are way ahead of me.
Okay.
Maybe I'll turn the channel. Let's see if I turn the channel.
I'm not watching the broadcast, but I am watching the tracker on ESPN, and it's way behind as well. So it just barely put the Lions pick of Ennis Rakestraw, cornerback out of Missouri, on the board.
Yeah, let me see. I'll go to NFL Network. It does say Baltimore's pick is in, so.
Okay. I'm trying to think of some other dark horse positions for the 49ers. Maybe we're not thinking
safety. Again.
Yeah, but I don't like the safeties are gone. Cole Bishop just went. Malik Mustafa, we just named. He could be like a dark horse player that no doubt John Lynch would love the tape of his. Tight end, yeah, maybe Jatavian Sanders, Theo Johnson, Jared Wiley. Second round, though, might be just, it feels high for those guys. Defensive line, I think, would probably, defensive line is the one we shouldn't be surprised at.
Right.
Who would be there left? The top 8 or 9 are all gone. Brandon Dorless out of Oregon. Yeah, sort of a hybrid. 6'3", 283, 4'8", 40. Sort of an interior pass rusher. Maybe he could play some outside edge on early downs as well. Give you that sort of versatility. That could for sure be an option for the 49ers.
Now, obviously, the 49er fans in the chat probably already know the pick. But I am, if it's not, and again, I don't know what's going on yet. If it's not offensive lineman, 49ers Twitter might have a meltdown if they don't get Kingsley Suamataia, because that is somebody that we identified. Like, we liked him.
Doesn't look like the chat knows the pick yet either. I'm trying to look for some dark horse positions, some dark horse players, defensive and pass rushers. Adisa Isaac, I'd probably say, could be one. Penn State, 6'4" and 3/8, 247, 4'7", 40, long arms, just a hair under 34 inches, athletic pass rusher. Some people say they liked him better than Chop Robinson at Penn State. I don't buy that, but Braylon Trice out of Washington, 6'3", 245, 4'7", 240-yard dash. I didn't like him as much as he was being billed to me. Austin Booker, he's got some ability out of Kansas. Jonah Ellis, I mentioned, undersized edge rusher out of Utah. Yeah, you're getting pretty slim there.
49ers traded the pick.
Wow.
That's why.
Wow.
People don't know. So now they're next.
Traded with the Chiefs?
Hey, hey, let's collect this one. So at least they did the trade.
They moved back one spot from
Move back
60
one
to
spot.
64. So, man,
Somebody else must have been trying to get up.
the Chiefs, Suamataia is that's a Chiefs pick right here because they didn't go tackle in the first round. It's wide receiver tackle for them. It felt like all day going in this draft. And they
Let's
took
see.
Worthy, jumped in front of them to get Worthy in the first round. Did they trade with the Niners to draft the guy that we wanted for the Niners in Kingsley Suamataia here? Man, that tells me, Croc, that the 49ers wanted Rosengarten.
Oh, I was on mute. You think so?
I mean, it had to be, right? Because if it was close between Kingsley, they wouldn't trade out of there for a team that could absolutely be taking an offensive tackle.
Yeah.
They're definitely not worried about that.
49er fans on Twitter are gonna have a meltdown.
Oh no. Yeah, the 49ers fans are gonna lose it right now. Got an extra fifth, looks like, to move down one spot with the
Yeah.
Chiefs.
And gave them a sixth.
Okay. Pick swap fifth and sixth, move up one round in the draft. They might have gotten an insurance. Maybe there's another team trying to move up as well. They might have gotten an insurance that they weren't going to take their guy. But it really feels, I mean, offensive tackle's the need for the Chiefs right here. Kingsley's the perfect fit for them. Perfect fit for the Niners as well.
They got Kingsley.
Did they? Wow. Kingsley Suamataia. The Chiefs trade up with the Niners at 63. So we were right about Kingsley going 63, but it's actually the Kansas City Chiefs who move up one spot. Rosengarten, Kingsley Suamataia back to back at 62 and 63, but not to the 49ers. Niners now on the clock at 64. What could they be doing right now, Croc? Who's that player that they liked more than Kingsley that they were going to take anyway? Because I have to imagine they knew that that's the player that the Chiefs were going up to get. Just made too much sense.
I'm looking at the chat, and as expected, they're not very happy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Wow.
Chris in the chat says they're gonna or no, excuse me, not Chris. Hind says probably Blake Corum.
Oh yeah, running back. It's running back season. Let's go. Can be kicker or punter. Javon Bullard already went, Chris, so it's not going to be him. He went to the Packers just a few picks ago. Wow. This is the Kyle and John are trying to rip 49ers fans' hearts out in this draft. It doesn't mean things are going to go bad, but just not the way 49ers fans expected things here. I mean, it was falling right. It was falling perfectly for the 49ers in round one. They threw a curveball. Falls perfectly again for an offensive tackle potentially in round two. They trade out of it to let the Chiefs go get that guy. Unbelievable.
I clicked away from the chat again, so I don't know what they're saying now.
All
I
right.
just wanted to see their reaction to that. I had a feeling on what it would look like. My feeling was correct. Now, all right, I'm back out. But I'm not gonna lie, guys. And I try to be all cool. Is it raining outside? What the hell? But I try to be all cool and understanding. I try to be understanding.
Yeah.
You didn't draft offensive line at the end of the first round. Okay. I thought this was a good opportunity to do that. Like, and the tough thing is, clearly it's not a reach because the two guys that we were identifying for the 49ers in this spot went to the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. And
Right.
if those guys end up being good, scheme aside, forget the scheme. If Patrick Mahomes is protected, if Lamar Jackson is protected, I'm with you guys. I'll go burn down 4949 Way or DeBartolo Way, whatever it's called. I'll go burn it down with you. They better not be good.
Right. That's the thing. Because look, and that's what everyone says. Oh, you guys don't know. I think the teams know better than you do. It's like, okay, all right, let's see it then.
Well, here's my thing. Okay, maybe they know, whatever. We were saying this is a good spot for them. We said that all along, right? Like, we like those two guys. This would be a good spot for them. And then they went in that spot, just not to the 49ers. I will always say, though, you don't know what the 49ers board is. There may be things about those guys the 49ers didn't care for or like, right? Like, that has to be a realistic, like, thought. But for the Chiefs to say, we want them, for the Ravens to say, we want them, that's not a good look if they end up being good.
So apparently Patrick Mahomes just tweeted, quote, "I love Veach," end quote, after that pick. Just to turn the dagger, just to twist the dagger a little bit more.
What's Brock Purdy saying?
Brock Purdy liked the Pearsall pick.
Oh, that's when he said, I love you, John Lynch, for Pearsall. Slick Rick.
Slick Rick. The pick in yet for you, Croc?
Pick is in. All right, let's turn my TV up.
San Francisco to 49ers. The 64th pick in the 2024 NFL draft.
Oh, but they're not up to announce it yet. So,
Spice.
Sorry, guys. You guys probably know. Hang tight.
I want to hear what Spice has to say. Is it Spice?
The guy's not even up yet.
Oh, man. Okay. So we got to wait a little bit longer.
It says, like, pick is in, but.
Okay.
Golly. So, in the last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 picks. Yeah, 4 tackles go, 5 tackles. Here we go. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
It said they think the 49ers go corner.
It's good to be back home at the crib. I went to school down the street from here, 3200 East Lafayette Street, Detroit, Martin Luther King Crusaders. So it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with the 64th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. The NFC champion, San Francisco 49ers select Renardo Green.
Renardo Green.
Renardo Green. He's a cornerback I watched a little bit of. He was not part of our deep dive.
Nah.
At cornerback, Florida State corner, Renardo Green. He is, and I've got all the information from the Beast here from Dane Brugler because it's got so much good information. So that's what I've got pulled up here. And Dane Brugler had Renardo Green as the 17th corner ranked in this class. A 4th round grade, according to Dane Brugler. And that doesn't mean that anybody's right or wrong or he's good or bad, but that's just what the ranking is on the Beast and the side I'm looking at. Just a hair under 6 feet, 5'11" and 7/8, 186 pounds at the combine. Croc, a little bit heavier, 191 at his pro day. So 6 feet, 190 essentially, 4.49 in the 40-yard dash, 1.57 in the 10-yard split, 37.5-inch vertical, 10.10 broad jump. He didn't run agilities the combine, but his pro day, he did run just the short shuttle at 4.28.
The interesting thing there is for a second-round pick, right? You spend the second-round pick on this corner. Nothing really jumped out with that. Nothing about that, from the, length, like, strength, speed.
Right.
Just watching, like, nothing from their pop. Now, I can't wait to watch because I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, Croc, like, what do you think? And it's like, look, we watched a lot of guys. Renardo Green isn't one of them. And this is a guy that was potentially projected to go later, and you never know how that works. But, I mean, we're talking about a lot later right now. But I am excited to dive into his film in a bit, and I may kind of put some on in the background while we're doing this show right now. But
let's do you want to put it on and just sort of take a look at the film?
All right, we can kind of let it roll a little bit. Let's
Let's
see.
let it roll a little bit. Before I cloud any more of your thoughts, Croc, let's get the initial thoughts here, watching his tape live here. And I won't read any more of the scouting report here or give you any more thoughts aside from what we know already, what his height, weight, speed numbers are from the combine. Wow, looking at the chat, though, clearly not a fan of the draft strategy so far this year, our 49ers fans. And everyone's going to wake up tomorrow liking the pick a little bit more, just as they did yesterday with Ricky Pearsall, I'm sure. And I'm sure there's some folks out there that love Renardo Green and they're going to have glowing things to say. And those are the things that are going to get retweeted. And as fans, we're going to try to figure out what gives us the best feels about some of these players, which tends to happen. To be honest with you, I don't love the first two picks in combo right now for the San Francisco 49ers. Croc, I thought there was better players on the board both times. But that does not mean I'm right or that the 49ers right, and it doesn't mean that this is a bad pick or a good pick. But if you're ready, let's throw on the old tape, huh? You're muted.
I'm about to post to Twitter that we're going to watch this film live right now.
Okay, that's a good call. Let the folks know what we're all about here on the live stream. Thanks again, everybody who's jumped in with us and been hanging out with us. We got over 600 people hanging out with us live, going through the drafts. The second round took a couple hours. The second round went longer than I thought. Took a couple hours to get here. Niners even adding to the intrigue, moving back one spot. They allow the Kansas City Chiefs to go up one selection and draft Kingsley Suamataia, the BYU offensive tackle, a pick after Roger Rosengarten goes off the board, and they end up selecting Florida State cornerback Renardo Green at 64 overall in the 2024 NFL draft. And we're going to throw a little tape on here, and Coach Crocky is going to take us through it. A little Croc time you here, and we'll take a look at what kind of prospect the 49ers just drafted with cornerback Renardo Green out of Florida State.
All right, here we go.
And we're putting on the Florida State defense versus LSU.
Oh yeah, you got to go to the best guys that they play against.
Yeah.
All right, hold on, my bad, guys. Got to just make sure you guys see this stuff. So, all right, first clip, not.
That's pretty. That's an immediate downfield separation. Now that's a first round wide receiver, right? It needs to be noted. That's a first round wide receiver against a second round corner.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, it's like, okay, what are they talking about? So here's Green right here, number 8, lined up in the press alignment. And I won't talk this much through all of them, but I'll tell you guys a little bit what I'm thinking when I'm watching them, or what I would be telling my guy if I'm coaching them. Hug this line as much as you can. See how much separation there is here? If I'm in press man, right? If I'm manned up on this guy and it looks like he's manned up here, and he's probably manned up or having some kind of combo to some extent here, but he's locked in, right? He's square, not looking at anyone else. I want to hug this line of scrimmage as much as possible and check with the ref. Make the ref tell you to get back, all right? Make the ref tell you to get back. So that's what I want to do first and foremost. What I don't want is for the space to already be created between me and the receiver. So the space is created. Now, look at that. He was able to hop, get into it, and make his move, and now you're in chase mode. And once you're in chase mode like this, your time clock speeds up. All your technique goes out the window. So he's beat. I mean, that's Brian Thomas there. We know he ran 4.3. This may as well be a touchdown if Jaden Daniels sees it. Now, fortunately for him, Jaden Daniel also knows, oh, this is wide open here off the backfield. So they had the big play. Now can he make a tackle? There we go. Okay, I like the effort. Got to find some positives here. I like the effort.
Just got him by the shoelaces there at the sideline.
Just got him. I like the effort. All right. So, again, not ideal. You see the big play, but to give that effort there, all right, I saved the touchdown. All right, let's watch him a little bit more here. Now, this is more ideal. Now, I know this is a rundown, but okay, this I like. Okay, close that space as much as possible. Rundown, whatever, but I like that alignment a lot more. And that was a poor tackle up there.
And just immediately, Croc, just looking at the body type here, and you're scouting the body. He's a skinny guy. He's 186. He was just under 6 feet, 186 at the combine.
Yeah.
He looks like he might have played at even a lighter weight than that. He looks pretty slight frame on Renardo Green.
Yep, slight frame.
He's also going up against some pretty manly wide receivers, so they might make him look smaller than he might look against some other receivers potentially.
Neighbors and Thomas, Neighbors and Thomas, like those guys,
they're dudes.
Especially Neighbors is built.
Yeah, Neighbors is built, and he's also 6 feet, and then Brian Thomas is 6'3".
Try to run it. Try to get through.
LSU has other like huge dude that's bigger than both of them.
Is he going to throw this here? He has 1-on-1 down here with Renardo Green if he wants it. And he wants it. And he breaks it up. There we go. All right. No flag. There we go. Okay. There's our guy. There we go. All right. Squared up. Nice. Good stance. I would teach it something like this. Feet slightly outside, shoulder width apart. Let's go. Okay. Feet before hands. Good. Get to him. This technique right here is what I call chest to chest. Let's get to his chest, look through the receiver so he can't push off and create that separation, and good play. The ball was poorly thrown, so shoot, pick that off, man. But hey, we'll take it. We'll take the incomplete. Because they saw 1-on-1, their best guy versus you, and you won. I like
on that rep, Croc, you teach your DBs to look on the inside through the receiver, right? Not turn around the other way.
Correct. Because once you turn around, they can kind of nudge you a little bit in your back, and then it creates just enough separation for them to be able to turn and catch the ball, or you'll give up that back shoulder. By the way, while we're going through this right now, it looks like Arizona Cardinals drafted Trey Benson, receiver out of Florida State, running back out of Florida State.
And that was right after Robert Saleh went and got his new Deebo, Malachi Corley, wide receiver from Western Kentucky, went to the Jets with the first pick of the 3rd round. So we're into 2 picks now of round 3. Malachi Corley, the Jets, Trey Benson, running back to the 49ers division rival, Arizona Cardinals. Washington back up again. Washington's got a ton of picks in this draft, man.
So here's our guy. They're targeting him again. Their best versus our guy. All right. This is a good job. Lean on him. Our inside release, I'm probably thinking inside route, but he does a really good job of making him fight through him to come back out. Rides him along that back line there. And it looked like it may have been a touchdown, but he's incomplete. The ref is saying he's out of bounds. So a couple stops for him here. One thing I do like to identify, is a guy competing. And looks like, he's competing out there.
Competing in the red zone and against a dude that went top 6 in the NFL draft, and then telling him about it afterwards, Croc.
Oh, so here he goes again. All right. So a lot of times when you have a stack like this, you're going to go banjo. All right. So, first guy in, you take him, or first guy out, I take him. Right here, it looks like because he came in, boom, he identified. Now these guys are locked in, and then he's going with, again, their best. Tries to get him inside, tries to throw him by, has to fight through him, makes the quarterback hold the ball, sack. Good job. The first play looked a little shaky, but since then, not bad. Okay, now let's do some teach tape here, and we'll watch a few more reps. We won't watch a whole lot, because I know I'm talking through these. But here you go. Good press alignment, stance. All right. Tries to give you the half step here. Then he breaks it down. Now, good job getting back to the receiver before looking back for the ball. I like that. Got upfield just a little bit. All right. Got upfield just a little bit. A lot of times, once you see a half step, he's probably going to stop. Sometimes they do go, but not terrible. Not terrible there. Not bad there. I'll take that. Jaden Daniels early in the season. Now, what does it look like from off? Because this is probably, we're going to see probably a little bit more of this from him with the 49ers. 49ers like to play a lot of quarters. They like to play off. All right. So what does this look like? I ideally would like him to be a little bit more square, but it seems like they're teaching a little bit more of the scooch technique. All right, you see the guy up top, he's doing the same thing. Guy at the bottom, same thing. This is again is that space. I wonder what this is. This got to be maybe some type of zone that they're doing. It could be a quarters, but if he goes vertical, you just have to go with it because we've seen him line up closer at times. So this is interesting. I'm not a fan of this. Maybe he's about to bail out. There we go. He's bailing out. Okay. Oh, here's some real 49er alignment right here. You got this whole field. Take away the slant. RPO. Nope, they run it.
He's smooth in his movements, Croc.
I think he moves well, but again, he's in that range where I typically like the movement skills of these guys, right? You know, we identified him 5'11, 186, to 190, weighting that, 5'11, 190. That's my ideal size, to be honest, at corner.
And he's actually closer to 6 feet, so it's 5'11", 7/8.
Okay, so 6 feet, 190, like that is ideal size to me for a corner. Now, I think, drafting the guy here, you maybe would like a little bit, ideally, better testing numbers. Like, do you feel like you're getting a guy that maybe a little bit maxed out?
Fifth-year senior, another little older prospect, 23 and a half years old right now, so he'll be 24 during his rookie season. He played, actually played a little safety earlier in his career before he played corner to start, then a little safety, then back to corner the last 2 years of his career.
It's a bad mismatch.
Not a lot of ball production, Croc. One interception in his entire career as a senior. He had one.
That sometimes is things that happen with Florida State. I feel like, man, Jalen Ramsey, I don't think he had many takeaways, if any.
Well, he was the guy that nobody threw the ball at, too. So.
That too. All right, let's see how he reacts here. Kind of have a stat. Got one guy off the ball. Corner route. Yep, figured. Wow. LSU not short of receivers. Got another one probably coming out next year. Number 2 here. All right, let's fast forward through here. Okay, I think they scored. And we'll watch one more drive, y'all. All right, here we go. Here he is at the bottom. He's pointing to him like, oh, really? They're just going to go man like this on me? Safety's coming down. Oh, you got one-on-one. Not bad. Oh, they call a flag. Little tug on the jersey. Maybe they didn't have to do that. I remember this game.
That was a nasty little cut. Is that Neighbors again?
Yeah, that's Neighbors.
Yeah.
He's got some quick twitch to him, huh?
Explosive, man.
Yeah. I don't know if he had to grab. There.
I think before he grabbed, he was kind of heading the other direction. When Neighbors made that cut, I think he might have been going bye-bye if he didn't grab.
This is a good time to watch a guy and see, how threatened does he look by guys. I think watching him here, that this was good. Again, it is a run play or a screen away. So Neighbors not getting the ball, but just watching how he works even away from the ball. That's something I like to look at. Again, really want to see what does he look like from off coverage. What's the feet look like? Does he sit down with the route? Yeah. Because again, this is going to be a lot of 49ers here. That off coverage. In the NFL, the timing is just so much better that the ball is probably halfway to the receiver already. One thing that shocked me about the NFL, dude, they're throwing 20-yard comebacks.
Far hash.
Oh, man. All right, nothing there. Again, this is our kind of our last drive. Here he is, manned up here at the bottom. Good.
Got Brian Thomas Jr. this time.
Nah, this is number 17.
Oh, that's 17.
I will say, watching Neighbors, I didn't do a whole lot of watching the top guys, but watching Neighbors and just how fluid he is. Look at that up there. I know I'm supposed to be watching the 49ers guy, but Neighbors, I like him. I think he moves well. I can see why some people thought he was the best receiver in this class. But again, watching our guy here, patient feet, hands, undercut the route. Didn't quite undercut it, but solid route. All right, here we go. He has drawn 17 again. Hit him with stop and go. What'd you think about that rep from on the stop and go?
I think he's probably lucky the ball wasn't thrown right there, but he recovered.
Would have been contested. Now, would he have got his head around?
Well,
maybe not.
The receiver slowed down because he saw the ball wasn't coming. He gets out of his break pretty well.
I think he has good feet. That's really good right here.
Really good feet. He's competitive and he's smooth. He can get out of his breaks.
The way his feet were able to react on the double move, this is good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Looks like him right here at the bottom. Him on Neighbors. Neighbors could go. He doesn't even look like he's trying. Like, look how hard our guy's working, and then look at Neighbors just. I like him. Where did Neighbors go? Giants? Where'd he go?
Giants pick 6.
Chargers on the clock. Junior Colson, Michigan linebacker. All right.
Caden Wallace just went to the Patriots. He was one of the last offensive tackles that was connected to the 49ers on those visits too. So those guys are all off the board now.
All right. So we watched our guy. I guess main takeaway, I think he moves well. I think he has good feet. Is he explosive in and out of breaks? That's something that we'll have to continue to monitor. But, do they identify him as an outside guy, or is he more of a nickel? Can he compete with some of the guys that they brought in, some of the vets? You don't like Darrell Luter? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, like what is this? What does this mean about Luter?
I think that's the competition. I think this is going to be a free-for-all in camp on the outside. Because I think Renardo Green's brought in to compete on the outside with Darrell Luter, the 5th rounder from last year, with Isaac Yiadom, with Rock Ya-Sin, with Ambry Thomas. And hopefully the competition bears out, a starter and a high-level player there through that competition, because I think the 49ers clearly like Demo in the slot and in the nickel. And DeAndre Lenore himself said that he should be in the nickel, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I think he wants to play outside, I think.
But didn't he say if he would have been playing nickel, the 49ers, who said that? Was it him that said that? That if he'd have been in the nickel, I don't remember what it was now. Too many quotes from too many guys. Let me know in the chat if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Renardo Green, do you want to hear the scouting report from the Beast?
Let's hear it.
All right. Renardo Green, again, 5'11" and 7/8, 186 at the combine. So essentially 6 feet, 190. He did get up to 191 at his pro day, but didn't run. 4.49 40 at the combine, 157 in the 10-yard split, which isn't amazing. 37.5-inch vertical, 10-10 broad jump. Didn't run a 3-cone, did have a 4.28 short shuttle. So, okay, measurables, not great. But size-wise, he's the size that Crocky likes at corner.
Yes.
Patient and controlled in press man coverage, smooth turn and run movements with above average body control to react to route breaks, quick to key on routes and feel combinations around him. Didn't jam much at the line of scrimmage on tape, but he pins receivers to the sideline and physically pesters them with his hands throughout the route. The summary is a 2-year. That was just the beginnings of the strengths. There's a lot more that you can find in the beast, and I'm sure there's a ton of scouting reports on him. Summary is there, though, that he was a 2-year starter at Florida State. Green was a perimeter cornerback and defense coordinator Adam Fuller's balanced coverage scheme. After playing safety for 2 seasons, he returned to his more natural cornerback position in 2022 and then tied for the ACC lead in passes defended. So we had 14 passes defended, but no picks. Interesting. Bad hands? Is that why he plays defense, Croc? I don't know. As a super senior 2023, his play in the opener against LSU's receivers created buzz amongst NFL scouts, and we just saw a little bit of that. Green is wired right for the position and clamps down in coverage with his awareness and physicality, which consistently allows him to compete for throwing lanes. However, he tends to get over-aggressive with his contact at the top of routes, lacks top-tier athletic traits for easy recoveries, and is inconsistent turning to find the football. Overall, Green is a polarizing prospect among NFL teams because he doesn't have desired size, speed, ball tracking skills, and won't be a fit for every scheme, but his play personality and ability to quickly find his balance mid-coverage helps him stay connected and will give him a chance to earn meaningful role in an NFL secondary.
Gotcha.
And I think that was pretty accurate for some of the stuff we saw there in just some very limited tape against LSU, which apparently was a coming out party for him.
Yeah, and I'm gonna continue to watch, and if I see anything that jumps out that I want to, all right, guys, we need to look at this or see this play, maybe get the faithful excited a little bit more. I'll make sure I kind of point.
By the way, make sure you like and subscribe here, whether you're watching on the simulcast on OT with BP or on Eric Crocker's channel, and we appreciate you. We love all of you that are in here right now. And of course, we're going to be doing deep dives on Locked On 49ers on all the prospects that the 49ers draft. And so look for those episodes as well to come. And we will be hitting the tape hard on every single prospect the 49ers draft. But clearly looks like an outside guy to me, right? Outside corner.
Yeah.
Renardo Green. A lot of bodies there. Little camp competition, Croc.
There is, and they're trying to figure it out. Cornerback one, you can never have enough coverage guys, but they're saying like, look, we, Ambry or Luter or Womack, somebody step up, get them if it's going to be you. Somebody, Chase Lucas, we're bringing you to the party. Somebody step up and say you want to take hold of this outside cornerback position. I just feel like when you draft a guy in the second round, in late second, but you draft a guy in the second, I feel like that. Oh, this is my guy.
Oh, you're for sure thinking you're drafting starters in the second round, even late second round. That's the third round too. Like day 1 and 2, that's where the starters, that's where you feel like you're drafting your starters. And then on day 3, you're drafting special teams guys, and you're drafting you're drafting backups, and maybe you're taking some flyers on some guys. You're going deeper into the small schools, but you're going Florida State corner round 2. You should expect that draft pick is a starter. Croc, how are we going to roll? Are we going to end the stream here? Are we going to kick it all the way through round 3? Do a new stream later, closer when the 49ers are on the clock at 94. Right now, currently pick 72. Carolina Panthers are on the clock. Drew Phillips, corner, by the way, who they didn't draft. I didn't even think about him being one of those players that I would have probably projected once I was just so surprised with the quick trade back and Suamataia going off the board after Rosengarten there before the pick. Drew Phillips now off the board to the New York Giants at pick 70 in round 3. Do you want to end this stream now, come back and talk a little third round pick a little bit later? How do you want to do this thing?
Yeah. Real quick, I've continued to watch Green, and it's a tough battle. Now here's the thing: when a lot of guys you'll cut on film, and let's say if I'm watching the Toledo kid, it's like, are you playing against a guy that's like this? and he's playing against neighbors, but he's battling. And if you're battling right now with a guy that we feel like will be, wide receiver 1 for the New York Giants, that's the kind of corner I want. Now, is this consistent? Like, look, y'all, I have no idea. I'm just going off of what I'm looking at right now. But I'm just looking at what it looks like. And it's like, man, this is a guy that's battling. He just gave up a comeback, like 8-yard comeback. And I'm like, dang, hell of a route from Neighbors. Like, Neighbors he's nice. But it's like, man, I like the way, like, even though he came up to catch, like, he's right there. And remember earlier I said, oh, if the quarterback throws this on time, like, that's probably a catch. And in the NFL level, he's at the very least competing. And that's been something kind of fun to watch with him so far. Just watched him on a in-breaking route from Neighbors, and, like, he's right there. It's like, okay, good feet, get me in position. Okay, like, I'm in position to compete. So that's something at the very least with him that's been cool. But yeah, I guess we could stop the stream. What do y'all want? What do y'all want in the chat? You guys want to keep this party going? You guys want to stop the stream? Like, what do y'all think?
I could keep it going. We could just roll straight through round 3. I would need to re-up some of my provisions here if I'm gonna be holed up for another, I don't know, it might be another couple hours, because we got the comp picks in round 3. Although I don't know if we would go all the way beyond the Niners pick at 94. We've got about 20 picks to go. I think we could hang on.
Yeah, we can handle that. We keep it rocking.
Yeah. All right. Do you need do you need to take a break?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
I'm gonna take a break for 1 second. I'm gonna slip away, and I'll be right back. You get into the chat and talk to the folks and have some fun. You can even go more Renardo Green tape if you want to, because I know you're already looking at it.
All right. Well, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna bring some of you guys on real quick. So I'll bring up 2 people. We can fill in some time while Peacock is gone, and but once he's back, gotta kick y'all off. So, but I'll bring a couple of people on and just get your guys' thoughts, live thoughts right now, where the draft has gone, how you feel about it. So yeah, Peacock. Oh, I can't even do it.
Do you have control? I was just gonna say, do you have control to bring him on? I don't think you can.
I don't have control. Sorry, guys, can't do it. Thought I wanted to do it, but I can't.
You just got to chat with them in the rolling screen chat.
All right. Yeah, go ahead, Peacock. Handle that, and then I'll talk to the good folks.
I'll be right back.
All right. We got Mocha Frost says, fill in the stream. Cool if y'all talk about whatever. You guys, hey, feel free. You guys have questions, ask away. You guys have thoughts, let's talk about it. Super chats help, just so I make sure I see it. But y'all guys give super chats, just throwing that out there. Let's see. Kim Ray, day 2, asking for a Crocker 49ers jersey. Unfortunately, I ain't playing for the 49ers, so. We got NorCal Bill says, Croc, what position you think we need next? I'm not gonna lie. I try not to get too worked up, but I am a little bummed that you had Kingsley Suamataia and you had Rosengarten right there for the taking. And it wasn't that like, oh, 49ers passed on them, because clearly they didn't. But they didn't do anything to draft one of those guys. They didn't like trade up, or matter of fact, they traded away their pick for the Chiefs to get it. If those guys end up being good NFL pros or starters, that's going to hurt. That is going to hurt. And you drafted a corner. Again, now we're just talking about who's going to come in, who's going to play, who's going to, make more of an impact right now. And is this corner going to come in? Is Green going to come in and just right now, day 1, he's going to start? Does he have more of a chance to start than Rosengarten or Suamataia would have at tackle? Cowboys going offensive line again. They're working the trenches. They got Cooper Beebe out of Kansas State. Cowboys got offensive tackle. They got a guard now. They got the trenches on defense with a big end. Farrell says cornerback has always been a crapshoot every single year. Definitely. Jimmy in the chat says, Crocky, the Niners said a few weeks ago about how there's little depth in this draft. Why do they still have 7 day 3 picks? I will say this. Look, I think it is very clear that the 49ers, you got to stack the roster, right? With all of those Dave 3 picks, the 7, can you find one starter? Can you find one? You got 7 cracks at it. Can you find one starter? Just one. Todd says, finally able to join the stream. Crocker Lewis Riddick said that he thought Green was the best press corner in this class. All right, let's go. Your thoughts on that? And how would he fit in with our defense? I should have my glasses on. I'm trying to read all this stuff. So we've been watching. We just watched some film. If you kind of missed it, all right. But we did just watch some film on him, and we watched a few possessions. Right? Well, we watched what three possessions or so, maybe 4 possessions of them. And you know what? Maybe while Peacock, oh, see, I can't even do it because Peacock has control of everything. So far, I think we've liked it, loved it, but I did enjoy watching him play against LSU, play against neighbors, and how he competed. I thought he competed his butt off. Damon says he is not a zone guy, and I don't know how much emphasis. Matter of fact, you know what? I coached a kid that's at Florida State right now playing linebacker, Blake Nicholson. He's from the 209. Blake was a true freshman there. I will hit up Blake. Let me see if I can hit up Blake right now. Let's see if Blake will respond. I'll hit up Blake right now. I forgot Blake is out there. How did I forget that? I didn't forget, but you know what I mean. All right, let's hit up Blake right now. All right. I'll message him. Blake, 49ers drafted Green, corner from your school. Any quick thoughts on his game? All right, so I just messaged Blake, and we'll see what Blake has to say about that. But so far, I thought intriguing. RG3 called Green that dude. It sounds like the people like him. And again, I didn't see anything that I didn't like. Now, when we put on the film, the very first play, I mean, just Thomas was out of there, had him whooped by 6 yards? Would you guys say? But outside of that, he competed. Outside of that, he competed. And I thought we saw a lot of good. Did we see any great? I don't think we saw anything that was like, ooh, this is great. Like, well, he did this. Anything that jumped out from a movement skill standpoint, but he does have really good feet. He had good feet. He had good change of direction with the feet. His ability to get back to the hip. I think those are things that we identified and we like. Now, the 49ers play a lot of off coverage. So everybody's saying he's a press guy. He's a press guy. Knees, I see you in the chat. Knees in the chat. He's a press guy. Okay. The 49ers play a lot of off quarters. And the tough thing is when the 49ers come across a guy who is more of a press guy, we saw this from Ambry Thomas. Ambry Thomas was more of a press guy. And the 49ers was like, yeah, you're a press guy. You run well. But we're going to make you play primarily off. And I don't think that worked out very well. It hasn't. Ty Berg in the chat says, have Pearsall 36 on my big board and Green 52, considering we picked at 31 and 64. That's overall. That's good overall, and moved up 38 picks later with the trade to get Mason McCormick round 3 or 4. So that's what you did. Okay, I like it. Tim Hurley in the chat says, seems like we are targeting older prospects. Maybe a little bit more mature. It's like, hey, are you coming in ready to like win some games? Because, you know, kids at 20, 21, maybe they're not as focused. And last one here, we got Todd in the chat, and he says, off topic, when are we getting Crocker versus Winkler and Madden? I don't even have an Xbox anymore. That was supposed to happen a long time ago. But
that was a That's a good callback. That was from like 3 years ago.
Yeah. And I ended up getting like, kind of busy, but that's not a good excuse. Not a good excuse.
I want to talk a little bit about the age thing that Tim just brought up too, Croc, because if there is a constant in the two players the 49ers just drafted, it's they're ready to play. They've played a lot of football, competitive, and I think that might be something that they were targeting. Is just it even mentioned it in the scouting report there from Dane Brugler about Renardo Green, is the way he's wired. And I think that's big for the 49ers. And I think they really like the competitiveness from both of these guys and the way they're wired, and think they can probably play early in their careers. David says 49ers targeting high floor, low ceiling guys. It's another way to look at it. I think it's fair. I think with Pearsall, what's the ceiling for you with Pearsall, Croc? Do you think he's limited as more of a slot weapon, just okay outside guy, or do you see him? Because I'm having a hard time finding a comp that's a really good outside player. There's a really good comparison to Ricky Pearsall, but I have no doubt he's going to be good in the slot.
Oh man, I think we were pretty spot on when we said, oh man, reminds me a lot of Adam Thielen. And Adam Thielen is a guy that had inside out versatility. Remember, 49ers, they're going to do a lot of tight splits and stuff anyways. So if we're saying like ceiling, what does it look like? It's like we've seen kind of what he looks like. We've seen that with Adam Thielen throughout his career. And Adam Thielen had some terrific seasons.
He was more slot than outside guy though too, even though he could play outside.
Right. And that's fine. Yeah. But you go 2 receiver sets. Okay, is he tight split? Is he Z? Is he just off the ball? Like fine, cool. And he can win there. We've seen that. So I didn't see anything that was like, oh, this guy, like he can't be good. Now, if you would identify something like with Dante Pettis, where it's like all of a sudden it's like, hey, he's kind of a hoe. He's kind of a guy that is going to kind of run from the fight, and you told me that's him, then all right. But I think we've seen some catches that tell us like, no, this guy he's not scared of that type of moment. So.
Oh, absolutely. He'll make a catch in traffic.
Yeah.
That's important, man. It's important to have I can't remember the way I've termed it before, but I bring this up a lot, and it's really easy to get enamored with height, weight, speed, and who wins the prettiest. But just being more athletic than the other team works when you're a kid. It works in high school. It even still works in college. It stops working when you get to the NFL and the professional level, unless you are Randy Moss or you're a true freak of nature. Like, you've got to win dirty in the NFL. If you're a pass rusher, you got to win with technique. You got to win through contact, win with your hands, with speed to power. You don't just run around guys all day because you're more athletic. When you are a wide receiver, you don't just get to run fast and beat slow guys anymore. You got to win with toughness and skill, and you got to win through contact. And so it's really important, no matter the position, that you have that competitive toughness and you can win dirty, and because you're not just going to win clean all the time in the pros.
Still watching some Green in the background here, seeing what some of it looks like.
Neighbors, Scott says, Croc. Are you seeing clampage happening right now? It looked good. I didn't see any catches from Neighbors against Renardo Green in the limited drives. We watched 3 drives worth, right? He clamped Neighbors for what it's worth. Thanks for doing this 100 times better than the networks. Appreciate you, Scott.
Here we go. Well, you can put this up if you want.
Yeah.
And here he is lined up against Neighbors right here, and you love to see this kind of battle. What do you think? Bottom of your screen. Is that good coverage?
It's great coverage.
Great coverage.
Yeah. Needs to undercut him at the end.
Nah, that was good. Upfield shoulder. What does he do here? Lost him just a little, but not that bad. I think the one thing that really helps him in his press is I think he has really good feet. Now, let's use your feet to get you in position to use your hands. I don't know if he was looking at neighbors and saying, you know what, I'm not going to try to use hands on this guy. I just want to just work my feet a whole lot. But overall, I think we're seeing some good movement skills from him. Now, can he match? Ooh. Okay, not afraid to tackle. Can he match the?
What was that? I wasn't watching. I was reading the chat. You said ooh. Was that a or was that a ooh?
Oh, he I mean, he went. I just want to see him close it. I said because you had a crack replace here, so I'll go back to the big view. All right, so this is what we call a crack replace. You got the receiver. Once he comes down here and goes to block, you have to replace. So he's cracking the guy that wants to run the alley and make a tackle, but he's going to come and crack down on him. So now you're supposed to be here and replace that. And he's late to it, and you get a big run.
Yeah.
So these are certain things right here where, we're talking about just assignments. Okay, you got assignments. You got this end. He's getting, far upfield. I mean, look at this hole. So receiver coming in to block him now. He either has to hurry up, shoot, and get there before the guy can block him, or you got to replace. And neither one happened.
Chased him down and made the tackle, though.
Did make the tackle.
Somebody in the chat earlier said he's really good against the run. Is that?
I saw that. I mean, we haven't had the opportunity to truly kind of, see him a whole lot against the run, but
he's made he made a couple tackles late in plays here, chasing guys down, but we haven't seen him have to come up and support the run from the edge. And he maybe should have on that last rep.
Right. Ooh, all right. He's at the bottom here. Brian Thomas kind of made it easy for him. They're definitely throwing the go balls to Malik Neighbors. He got forced all the way to the sideline.
By the way, Croc, somebody asked me what I was drinking earlier. I went with the 49ers Red cocktail, which is the Boulevardier today. Going Redwood Empire, local Sonoma County rye whiskey, equal parts whiskey, sweet vermouth, and Campari. That's what I'm drinking tonight.
See, I need to really build out a, like a legit bar.
Yeah, a bar.
Yeah.
Hey, your new spot you're going to get. Let's go. And if you need a consultant, I'll come down and help you out.
Oh, definitely.
And we'll hit the driving range since you became a golfer apparently recently.
I'm closing in on becoming a golfer. All right, so here we go. Let's talk some schematics here.
Yeah.
Anytime you see press bell, you are likely thinking it's zone. All right, so you guys watch them down here. You got to press bell. If I had to guess, you see one guy come down and this guy go up. So let's see. Playing a little bit more flat-footed. Maybe some sort of cover 4. All right.
Looks like
now, all right, so you got a quarters on. All right, so now as I open, I should be reading 2-1. All right, if it's what I think. I'm reading 2-1. And if he goes in right now, I need to be squeezing that. So this is where I would see, and Damon earlier was like, he is not his own corner, right? Where your eyes at? What are you looking at? Because now they threw it to Neighbors. Now you got to try to make a tackle, right?
So in this rep, he knows he's not threatened outside by anybody, so he needs to squeeze that route by the outside receiver.
It essentially turns into man. If I'm reading 2-1, once he goes in, this turns to man. So maybe they're telling him, hey, just play a little bit softer so nobody, goes over the top of you. But here, it feels like he's kind of just more playing as opposed to reading anything.
Crock is the ball nowhere.
I know cornerback.
I like your defensive line jargon you were busting out yesterday.
Oh yeah, you got some spilling going on. So spill, you spill because you want the ball to be bounced outside. So essentially, let's see if we see somebody spill here. Okay, taking on the double. No spilling going on there. All right, here we go. This would be the last drive. Oh, that was a good play. Look at that. Oh, that's a hell of a play.
I missed it. Go back.
Not by our guy, by number 7 here.
Oh, dang, never mind.
Watch him. Get underneath. Oh, make the tackle.
Should have drafted him. When's he draft eligible?
Right. All right. Are they going to try our guy?
Here we go. This is the rep. Single high.
Good. That was good.
Straps, Croc.
Little circus route. Look at that. Run with him. Come on, man. Come on. Easy mover. That's what I would put in my notes. And what I mean by easy mover is just someone who it doesn't come off as if he's fighting really hard to run with somebody. Like, do you get the sense of that? Does it look like with anything, there's no like clunkiness to it, right? Do you see like clunkiness to his movement skills?
Oh, it took only a couple reps to realize that he's smooth and he can move, and he's not a burner, but he's got some recovery ability.
He got a little juice.
A little bit.
Got a little juice. Let's watch him here. Good. Talk to me. Come on, man. That's versus neighbors. Read them down. Oh, that's not neighbors. That's Thomas. What do you think? You see the rep?
I mean, yeah. Nowhere to go with that ball.
What do y'all think, man? Here's Brian Thomas right here.
Brian Thomas. This is the preeminent downfield receiver in college football. He didn't seem worried about the go route.
Did not seem worried about the go route. And that tells me somebody who trusts his speed.
Either he trusts his speed or he knows what route's coming because of film study. Croc. Might be a smart.
Or that could be that. That's a good rep right there. All right. 2 more plays, y'all. Just 2 more plays. That's it. 2 more pass plays at least. Let's see. Good job. I'm not sure if Brian Thomas ever thought he was getting the ball, but all right. Oh, I gotta go. Okay. Good job. All right, now last pass play. If this is a pass play, good. We get to see him off, and it's a run. So not yet, but still, he has good feet from off. Good feet, good movement skills. I think he's a crocky guy.
What's the what was the score on this game? I haven't been paying attention to the scoreboard.
I haven't paid attention to the scoreboard, but LSU actually lost.
Interesting. So they should be throwing the hell out of the ball, and they
They probably will in a little bit.
Right now.
24-17, Florida State's up.
Interesting.
And this, I think it was week 1. Here he goes. Oh. See, it's just so tough. I mean, let's count how many yards right here. Okay, they start to 40, 50. Okay, 12-yard stop. Malik Neighbors runs his routes fast. First of all, look at his stance.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to run the ball to the other side of the field.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just like, okay, I'm just chilling. And then, time to go. Here we go. Sit that route down. Ooh, that's tough. That's how you challenge. Guy. Okay. Ooh.
So LSU had 2 top 6 picks. They had the 2nd pick in the draft at quarterback. They had 2 first-round wide receivers. Why did this team underachieve so much in college football?
Their defense was terrible.
They've had 2 defensive linemen drafted too.
Yeah, they were bad. They couldn't stop a nosebleed. All right, that's enough of Green. Hey guys, I think there's some good stuff. I think there's some good stuff.
I like it. He doesn't have extra credit, athleticism, or size or anything, but I saw a guy with great feet. I saw a competitive player. I saw a guy who looked like he was ready to play early in his career, well schooled. He wasn't scared of speed. I wish I'd seen a little bit more in run support, but that's obviously secondary to your cover skills. And
Right.
I saw a second, third round guy. He went the last pick in the second round. I think he went in the right range.
Yeah.
Renardo Green, your newest San Francisco 49er, cornerback out of Florida State. Now, I know they didn't get the offensive tackle there. Some weird hijinks happening at the end of the second round, which shocked a lot of folks, me included. But I think they got a pretty good player there in Renardo Green, and he's going to compete maybe as a rookie for a starting job with a number of players. This is going to be a heck of a training camp battle, I think, at cornerback after the top two guys in Diamador Lenore and, of course, Charvarius Ward. And Charvarius Ward's coming up on free agency pretty soon as well. So they need present and future outside corners. RDC says, given age, is Dorless the next pick? Yeah, Brandon Dorless, a little older prospect as well, 23 and a half or something like that. Dorless in the third round, I think, was the right spot for him. I would like Dorless at pick 94 if he's there. Outside in versatility, he's definitely one of those guys that fits what Chris Kocurek and the 49ers have done really well on the defensive line. He's a player that can rush for sure the passer from the inside. And I think he's got the athleticism and the length to play early downs on the outside. So it was 285. He's a little bit smaller than some of these other guys, so he's not going to play a full-time role inside. So he better be able to play outside on early downs, or he's just a rotational rusher. But I like Brandon Dorless, and I like him in this spot at this point pretty much from here on out, and he's still available. Great point by Knees here. This is their highest DB pick. It is. In the Shanahan-Lynch regime, they have never drafted a player higher in the third round in the secondary before. And so now we've got a new leader in the clubhouse. The last pick in round 2, Renardo Green, is the highest selection in the NFL draft ever for Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch as head coach and GM of the San Francisco 49ers. Let's bring Croc back in here.
Yeah. I want to say the Witherspoon was picked 2 picks later.
Yeah, early third.
He was like second pick in the third round, I believe.
And then they traded the very next pick because they had two picks in a row, right?
I think they traded the first one and then picked Witherspoon with the next one.
Okay, and the one they traded away was Alvin Kamara. They traded to the Saints. Yeah, right, because that was the Bears pick because that was the draft they traded down 2017 from 3. The Bears went up 3-2, so they had the 2 picks in a row again in round 3 that they got in that trade. RDC says he thinks they missed Amenahu last year. They were weird. They were weird on the D line last year.
I think a lot of people feel like Farrell did a good job, but it did seem a little different without Amenahu.
I don't know if it was Amenahu or a combination.
Amenahu
Key. They're lacking something. And clearly they wanted to change things up on the D-line, which they did in free agency. Where are we at, by the way, in the draft? I haven't been paying attention in the last few minutes here.
Jermaine 81.
Jermaine Burton, 6 teams in 8 years for Jermaine Burton. Last played at Alabama. He has gone to the Cincinnati Bengals with the 80th selection in the NFL. I thought he was gonna maybe even go undrafted.
You thought Burton was going to go undrafted?
I mean, he's probably maybe first round guy. I mean, he if it wasn't for any off field stuff, he probably would have been ranked ahead of Ricky Pearsall by most teams.
Are we talking about Jermaine Burton that was at Georgia then transferred to Alabama?
Alabama, yeah. He's been through 6 teams in 8 years dating back to high school. He punched a female on the field at one of his college stops. I don't remember which one that is. He's got the type of profile off the field that usually teams avoid early in draft, especially day 2. So I'm kind of surprised to see him here as good as his tape is. I mean, he's a good football player.
Wow. Yeah, he was the guy I thought, because he played as a true freshman for Georgia. The first 2 years, and then he transferred to Alabama, then finished up the last 2 years at Bama. So he must have went to a lot of different high schools.
Let's see. I thought there was a third college involved.
You said 6 different schools out of 8 years. So he probably went to 2 high schools, and then no, that's not right. 4 high schools, 2 colleges.
I know the Beast will have the best information on this. So I'm going to go back to Dane Brugler's Beast to find the background on Jermaine Burton. I thought it was 6 schools in 8 years. Jermaine Burton. Yeah, a lot of background here. Let's see. In college, so it was just Georgia and Alabama in college. His first year as a freshman was I think he went to junior college as well, maybe is why. He had an extra school in there too.
Did he?
Let's see. 2020 pandemic shortened season was his first year in college. That was at Georgia. So 2 years Georgia, then went to Alabama. Let me see if I can figure out. Six feet, 196, 4.45, 38.5-inch vertical, 11-watt broad jump. Good explosion numbers there. Let's see.
He was good at Georgia, and then I don't know what happened at Bama. I don't know if it was because he played with Bryce Young, and then he played with the newer kid. But
he was teammates in high school with.
He went to California. He went to school in California, I believe.
Yeah, Greg Newsome, Nolan Smith, Evan Neal, all in high school. IMG Academy, Bradenton, Florida, and then went back to California.
I want to say he's from Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that.
Marietta, Georgia, in junior high. Then went to Hapville Charter High School outside of Atlanta. Created a recruiting buzz as a freshman. For his sophomore season, he transferred to football powerhouse IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida, where he was teammates with Newsome, Smith, Evan Neal. Then he finished 2017 with 14 catches, 332 yards. Feeling homesick, went back to Atlanta in the spring of 2018 for Marietta High School. Then he was deemed ineligible under Georgia high school rules and was forced to examine out-of-state options. So he went to Southern California prior to the 2018 season, Calabasas High School, where he joined Johnny Wilson.
Which we haven't seen Johnny Wilson's name called yet.
He hasn't. Coached by former NFL wide receiver Curtis Conway. And then ultimately transferred back to IMG as a senior and then returned to Calabasas for a final season again.
Oh, okay. That's where all the schools. Yeah, that's crazy.
Then Georgia, then Alabama. So
that's wild. And things like that, like that's damn near like a traumatic experience for a kid.
That's like not. It wasn't like, well, I don't know the reasons for some of those, but some of it's feeling homesick. If it was just one incident in his entire life and the other stuff was just circumstantial, he's bouncing around schools and whatever, then maybe forgivable. But was there reasons he was leaving these schools that were left out of that? I have no idea. Teams for sure know. And if he went in the third round, it must not have been too bad.
That's a lot going on. And I just think about just yanking a kid from here to here, different coast. Like you're going to different coasts of the United States.
Oh, by the way, I just put it together. Cincinnati Bengals, the team that drafted another football player that hit a woman in the past. So clearly they will turn a blind eye to certain things that maybe other teams won't.
Who else?
Blake Corum off the board. Michigan Wolverine running back going to the Los Angeles Rams at pick number 83.
Interesting.
New running back in town.
They drafted Kyron Williams.
They're both like sub 5'8", right? Isn't Blake?
Corum is definitely like 5'6". Oh, 5'7". Oh, 5'8". Okay. 5'7", 3'4". It's pretty much 5'8", 205. They have a type.
They have they have a type. We're on to pick 84. We're only 10, 11 picks away here from the San Francisco 49ers on the clock in round 3 at pick number 94. What kind of hijinks are they going to pull here? I don't know if the 49ers fans can handle it.
I'm seeing, and my phone is blowing up. Croc, what do you think about the pick?
Early returns solid on the Renardo Green tape. Liked what I saw. One game, LSU, but we're talking Malik Neighbors. He was the 6th pick in the draft. Good call. Chris Henry, also a Bengal.
I think he's saying Chris Henry. Is that the one that hit the woman?
Oh, no, it was other dude, running back, who's still in the league. He was just there last year.
Oh, Joe Mixon. Okay, that's what somebody said, Joe Mixon. I didn't realize what they're... Okay, yeah. Oh, that definitely happened.
Yeah, I didn't think about Chris Henry.
Dang, I forgot about that with Joe Mixon. Yeah, because he would have been a first rounder if not for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Terrible decision making.
Jalen Wright? Could we go 3rd round running back again, Croc? This time of the speedy variety? I like Jalen Wright a lot more than I liked Ty Davis Price. That's for sure.
And Trey Sermon.
Yeah. And they traded up for Trey Sermon in the 3rd round that year. I don't know where the 49ers are going to go here. You for sure can't take running back off the table. Elijah Mitchell's a free agent after this year. They really didn't incorporate Jordan Mason like we thought they might in his 2nd season.
Did not. Well, part of it is who they have at running back, Christian McCaffrey. Like, he just does not want to come off the field. So there's that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how do you how
about this,
save him from himself?
Since we brought up Christian McCaffrey, Deebo's probably, if he even makes it to the season, and it feels like they're not going to make any trades here, Deebo's going to his last year with the 49ers. Could we see a more drop-back centric passing game without Deebo, post Deebo, with Ayuk and Slick Rick Pearsall, and maybe Christian McCaffrey slip into more of a wide back role? He's cheaper than Deebo Samuel. You elongate his career by giving him less carries, but more meaningful receiving touches, move him all around the formation. Still, he's your lead back, but he's just not going to carry it as much. Jalen Wright, somebody else at running back, starts to take a few more carries away from him. I can paint the picture. I don't know if that's the picture that's in Kyle Shanahan's head.
I mean, Jalen Wright, he had speed. How much longer do you think Christian McCaffrey is going to hold up? Because that was our big thing, right? Like, what was going to make it worth it? Clearly, it's been worth it, but like, how much longer?
I think that's an underrated story this upcoming season. Christian McCaffrey's played 40 games in 2 years, leading the NFL. He's got when you are a running back that's had the most touches in the league for a couple years, you don't continue to play football. Right? And he's a cyborg. Maybe he's just that different that he will be the guy to buck the trend. But man, he's touched the ball a lot the last 2 seasons. And it's hard to imagine, and I would have betted against him doing it last year. He still made it all the way through the Super Bowl. I would bet against him being able to hold up to the rigors, even if you're an extra special dude. It is just you're a human being still to be able to do it again for 20 more games and lead the NFL in touches. But that's a big ask. And he's at the age where guys really start to break down quickly at that position in the NFL. I'm trying to reverse jinx. Cyber Jeremy's mad about that. I'm trying to reverse jinx. If I talk about him getting hurt, he won't get hurt.
Right.
I like Christian McCaffrey proving me wrong as well. He's awesome. He's fun. He's so fun to watch. But man, at some point, I think you've got to back off the carries. And the way to do that and allow him to make the similar impact, he becomes the wide back in the offense, Croc. Because you're not going to use Ricky Pearsall like Deebo. He's got a few yak yards in college. He's not that in the NFL.
Nah. I mean, and we didn't see like the yak be really a big part of his game. Like that wasn't. He's more possession receiver, and obviously, like when you think of possession receiver, I'd say similar to what we've seen from Brandon Ayuk at the NFL level, right? Like I think you and I were both like expecting more yards after catch from Ayuk.
And Ayuk, I think, looked like he would be more yak bro even than Pearsall's tape.
But we haven't gotten it, right? So like if you're telling me we'll get what we've gotten from Ayuk, I would say it would look more like that. When we were expecting Odell Beckham type yards after catch or something like Deebo, but we haven't seen that from Ayuk. It's been more routes, catch the ball, win vertically, get tackled. There hasn't been like where are the, when his rookie year was week 2, week 3, they throw a screen to him against Philadelphia. He catches it, bumps a guy, jumps over a guy. Like we're thinking, oh man, like this is what we'll always get, and you just haven't. You just haven't gotten that. But you've gotten obviously a terrific player, but just in the sense of Pearsall being a 49ers on the clock.
We got to trade. The San Francisco 49ers moving up in round 3. They are currently on the clock now with the 23rd selection in round 3. They moved up from 94 to pick 86 with the Philadelphia Eagles of all teams, it looks like. And are now on the clock. I have not even seen who the team in front of them, the Cleveland Browns, have selected yet. Roman Wilson, wide receiver from Michigan, off the board at 64 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Nice selection. I like the Steelers draft so far.
Here we go. Got the Browns pick in right now.
Zach Zinter, guard out of Michigan, going to Zach Zinter at 85. So the 49ers are now on the clock in round 3, Croc. This is it. The end of day 2, it looks like, for the San Francisco 49ers.
And so Zach Zinter. Okay, so in the chat earlier, our guy Damian Dickerson in the chat, he wanted Zach Zinter, guard out of Michigan. Doesn't look like the 49ers are going to get him.
I didn't think Zinter was a great fit for the Niners. Didn't look like more of a wide zone guard, but again, they've done that to me before. Breaking 80 says, if offensive line here at 86, who do you like? McCormick, Puni, Jones, Bordellini, Zinter, Mahogany. So Zinter just went. I do like McCormick, Mason McCormick. I think he's guard, center versatility, future center potentially in the NFL. Bordellini's got that athletic ability. Prefer him more in the 4th than the 3rd. The tape isn't amazing, but man, he's got the all of the athletic skills you're looking for from an NFL center, and has played a ton of positions in college. I think Dominick Puni's tape is maybe the best of the names on this list. But more, we're talking interior guys now. I don't know if there's necessarily the tackle. Amagaji out of Yale went earlier in this round. He would be in the developmental with traits to be a starting offensive tackle in the NFL. He's gone. All right, it looks like I see what the pick is, Croc. I'm going to let you do your thing.
I got the TV sound on.
Pick is in.
What up, though? Once again, shout out to Remus Robinson Middle School. The Philadelphia Eagles have traded the 86th pick to the San Francisco 49ers. And with the 86th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the NFC champion San Francisco 49ers select Dominick Puni.
Puni, okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Dominick Puni. He's got really good tape. He is he didn't test extremely well at all. And I kind of put him to the side for the San Francisco 49ers because of those testing numbers. I don't think he's a tackle in the NFL. I think he's purely a guard, center maybe. He's got big hands. Testing numbers weren't great, but the tape is really good with Dominick Puni, the guard, I think most likely out of the University of Kansas. 6'5", 313 pounds, big 10-inch hands, 10 1/8 inch, 33 3/8 inch arm length. Ran a 5.35, which isn't great, even for a 313-pounder at the combine. 5.35 40-yard dash, 1.85 10-yard split, 30-inch vertical, 8.11 broad jump, 4.40 short shuttle, which is where you're looking for those interior offensive linemen. That's the number, Croc. The short shuttle for the interior offensive lineman, Dominick Puni. Is he a guard? Is he a center? He did play left tackle at Kansas. I think he's purely an interior guy in the NFL, most likely. And I like the tape. I like this pick, Croc, in the 3rd round. I think this is really good value and a really good player for the 49ers, and a player that we didn't do a deep dive on. But I like it. I like this pick. This is my favorite pick as far as draft slot where they got him, Dominick Puni out of Kansas.
Well, awesome. I mean, and that's something, again, the 49er fans have been waiting for that. Like, who's going to be the guy that helps repair the right side of the offensive line? And you went and got the big guy. Interested to see, does he move to guard? And when you watch him on film, just the way he moves, he looks like he definitely can fit there.
A question about the short shuttles from Ahmad. Is that a good short shuttle, Peacock? 4.40 is a really good short shuttle for an offensive lineman. And I'm going to have to go find the data now that we bring it up, because it's one of them. I think 40. It's interesting because his 40 time wasn't good. Usually the guys with good 40 times and shuttles at offensive line, they're both pretty good, but his 40 time wasn't great, but his shuttle time was. And I'm going to try to find it if I can really quickly. The shuttle times and the correlation with success in the NFL, especially for those interior offensive linemen. And is this it? Nope, that's not it. I am not finding it quite yet. Here we go. I think I got it. All right, Dominick Puni was one of the players in this draft class that has recorded a 4.47 short shuttle or better at the combine. His was 4.40. Just 28 offensive linemen since 2010. By the way, this is from Josh Norris of Underdog Fantasy. Just 28 offensive linemen recorded a 4.47 short shuttle or better at the NFL combine since 2010. And when you look at the list, it's so telling in how many hits there are on the offensive line of this group. 24 of those 28 were drafted. One of the guys who hit that mark and was not drafted was Jake Brendel of the San Francisco 49ers, current starter at center. He was a scorching 4.27, which I believe is the fastest on this entire list in the short shuttle. He had amazing athletic testing in workout numbers. Jake Brendel did, even as an undrafted free agent. It took him a while to figure it out and get stronger and earn the starting job in the NFL, which he has now with the San Francisco 49ers. But here are the names of guys. This is all 28 of the names, or all 24 of the ones that were drafted, one of the undrafted being Jake Brendel, the 25th. So these are the 24 players, and they've all gone on to start, of the 24, starting 84% of their NFL games. A cheat code, Josh Norris calls it, with a good short shuttle time for an interior offensive lineman, which Dominick Puni has. So of the list, we've got some first rounders: Nate Solder, Anthony Costanzo, Andre Dillard, maybe one of the worst on this list. Only 9 starts in 43 games. Eric Fisher, Zion Johnson, Jake Matthews, Joel Bitonio, Xavier Suafilo, Jake Fisher, Ali Marpet, Jason Spriggs, who was one of my draft crushes, turned out not to be great and one of the few that aren't good on this list. Ezra Cleveland, Abraham Lucas, a steal from the Seahawks just a couple years ago in the draft in the 3rd round. Joe Noteboom, Zach Tom, one of my favorites a couple years ago in the draft, has gone on to be a starter with the Green Bay Packers. John Urschel, Joe Haig, Jason Kelsey. Actually, I take it back. Jason Kelsey has the fastest time. 4.14, by far the fastest short shuttle on this entire list, a 6th-round pick back in the day. David Quessenberry, Jeff Baca, Matthew Paradis, Chase Roulier, and Charles Leno, who went on to have a long starting career in the NFL, starting 128 games. I think he just retired this offseason. 4.40, short shuttle, 7th-round pick. So it's one of the most telling things that happen at the combine is offensive line. And we talk about the 40 times a lot, where the fastest 40 times for corners and wide receivers, it's almost like all busts and not good players. You look at 40 times in short shuttles for offensive linemen, it's almost all really, really good players. And that's what Dominick Puni has, short area movement skills to be able to operate and move around inside the trees there. So like the pick, not a great 40 time, but the short shuttle might be the most important. Dominick Puni has it. He's got those short area quicks. Good film for Dominick Puni as well. What position he plays in the NFL, not sure. Guessing it's more interior guy for sure.
Biggest winners today is Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk.
And and Brock Purdy. He's got a new weapon to play with. It didn't lose any weapons.
I feel like, again, I've been one that's been our offense. I feel like the offense got better, adding a more in the dynamic player to the slot or just to the offense than what Jauan Jennings is. And that's not a slide of Jauan Jennings. He's been good in his role for what he is, but I feel like you got better though. And when you think of some of these other teams that have, these 3 receivers that you really like, okay, without the 49ers, not only have 3 receivers, they got another pass catcher, running back, and a tight end that can hit you for 1,000 yards. I feel more confident about this offense and the ability to stretch the field. One thing that teams could do, we're going to play press man. That's what the Cleveland Browns did. Just play man, and then that's going to be tough. Well, now you got a guy that can separate and win vertically with speed. And you see the 4.41 speed vertically for him and his ability to run routes against guys in space. So you get to do that. Hopefully we'll see what happens with this, guard or tackle. But I feel a little bit more confident, definitely with the offense, even without the lineman pick. And if the lineman comes around, then you're feeling better. But big winner, Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk.
And not trading Deebo or Ayuk, actually, you could project an offense that might be better than it was last year. If you start trading those guys away, well, now you're not even better. Yeah. Right? And you're probably getting worse, to be honest, in the short term. So I hope they don't trade Deebo. I like the fit of Pearsall with those 2 guys, at least in the short term.
Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. I see 49ers Raj 209. He said, "What's up, Croc? You coach my little cousins, Arjun and Harjun. Let's go. Those are my little homies, man. CrossFit 209, the twins. I had a lot of fun with those guys, over the years. They're probably older now. I think when I stopped training them, I trained them maybe when they were in middle school. So if they're graduating high school now, I would not be surprised. I would feel very old. They might be graduated from high school now. So shout out to Arjun and Harjun. Tell them Coach Croc said what's up.
Future NFL stars, no doubt, in Arjun and Harjun if they've been coached up by Coach Crocky. Croc time.
Smart kids. Very, very smart. Smart kids, man.
Real quick, the scouting report summary on Dominick Puni, the offensive tackle out of Kansas. A 2-year starter at Kansas. Puni started at left tackle. And after 4 years at Central Missouri, he made the unlikely jump. By the way, that means another older prospect, right? Let's see what the age is. He's actually older than all. He's already 24. So he was born he turned 24 in February, Dominick Puni. So 3 for 3 older This is a 6th-year senior after a couple of 5th-year seniors that the 49ers drafted here in the first 2 rounds of the 2024 NFL draft. He made Central Missouri University. He made the unlikely jump to Division II, from Division II to FBS, and played at a high level at both tackle and guard in Loris, Kansas. 25 straight starts, 0 sacks allowed. Puni runs his feet and steers defenders in the run game with a mauling yet measured mentality. Ooh, I like that. He mauls, but in a measured way to make split-second adjustments on the move. Though he has some limitations in space as a blocker, he plays stout and mobile to answer different types of rushers. Overall, Puni will get himself in trouble bending at the waist or letting its pads rise, but he plays big, powerful, and sends a harsh message with his hands while staying controlled through contact. He can play tackle if needed, but projects best as an NFL starting guard or center. There we go. Your latest San Francisco 49. All right. Appreciate everybody out there jumping into the stream the last 2 days, hanging out with us for hours and hours of the first and second days of the 2024 NFL draft. Make sure you're subscribed up to Crocker's stream, to Peacock's stream, and make sure you're also subscribe to Locked On 49ers on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcast, where you can hear Croc and I daily breaking down the San Francisco 49ers. Croc, any parting words about this draft or for the folks out here that hung out with us the last couple of days?
I think, potentially getting an offensive lineman that can come in and have a role or start. That's not going to be easy. I think, John Feliciano, he's going to make it tough, but I think that makes you like a little bit more. Can the corner Green come in and compete? Can he beat out some of the veterans and say, all right, Deontay Lenore, you play in this slot, I'm going to hold it down on this outside? That would make it better. Does Slick Rick come in right away and start at receiver and Kyle Shanahan not put him in the doghouse? That would make you feel a lot better about this. So 3 guys that it looks like they're going to compete for spots. And I think that's all you can ask for a team that's pretty loaded and Super Bowl ready.
No live streams planned for day 3 of the NFL draft. I'm actually going to be traveling a little bit, but whatever happens on day 3, got a lot of picks still for the 49ers. Croc and I will be around to break all those things down on Locked On 49ers. It's been a whole lot of fun. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us. Make sure you are subscribed and tuned in to Locked On 49ers, which we will be back with you after the weekend and after the NFL draft. And we'll talk to you then.